In just a few hours, students from Stoneman Douglas High School will lobby lawmakers in Tallahassee to tighten Florida's gun laws. Activists and Parkland students and teachers will rally in front of the state capitol. But the students are already getting a quick lesson that demanding change is easier than persuading someone to vote for it.
Isn't it? Now, last night, Florida's Republican-led State House rejected a proposed ban on assault weapons and large-capacity magazines. The bill was defeated by a vote of 36 to 71, and of those 71, all but 4 had strong ratings from the NRA. The Florida House vote came as some Stoneman Douglas students watched from the gallery. Emotions ran high during the vote and after.
The next death of someone with an assault rifle here in Florida is going to be on them. It's going to be on them, and it's going to be their fault that those people are dead and that those people aren't going to go home to their families and that there's going to be an empty space in people's lives, and it's going to be their fault.
Heartbroken and disappointed teenagers there. Instead of guns, lawmakers will begin debate on a bill to declare pornography a public health risk. Despite the setback, students are vowing to march on with their message. Planned meetings include with the Attorney General and the Governor, Rick Scott.
Now, ahead of Governor Scott's sit-down with students, he's laying out a new timeline, but few ideas so far for getting something done quickly on gun violence.
My goal is Friday, I'm going to come up with a proposal. My goal is to come up with something that is going to move the needle and make parents feel more comfortable that their kid's going to go to a safe school. That's the goal. I mean, these kids have got to go to safe schools. We got 2 weeks left of session. Those 2 weeks after Friday, we're going to get something done.
Not previewing any details there, but last week, Scott told CNN's Wolf Blitzer that everything is on the table in the effort to solve the gun violence problem.
President Trump weighing in on gun regulation twice yesterday. Last night, he called for reforming gun purchase background checks in a tweet. Whether we are Republican or Democrat, we must now focus on strengthening background checks. That edict included no specific proposal, but a new Quinnipiac poll shows support across the board, including from gun owners, for putting all gun buyers through a background check.
Earlier on Tuesday, the president had said that he has directed Attorney General Jeff Sessions to propose a rule banning those bump fire stocks used last year in the Las Vegas massacre. The gunman used that bump stock on his rifle to make it fire like a fully automatic weapon. Again, the president was not officially ordering a new regulation, just asking for a quicker delivery of those proposals.
The NRA reserved comment on this bump stock development, saying it would wait for an actual proposal. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders also non-committal on several gun measures, getting a new look in the wake of the Florida school shooting.
Background checks are something that the president's supportive of making more efficient and looking at better ways to improve that process. The president supports not having the use of bump stocks, and that we expect further action on that in the coming days.
Does the president believe there should be an age limit for those who buy an AR-15?
I think that's certainly something that's on the table for us to discuss and that we expect to come up over the next couple of weeks.
Sanders says that's on the table and that the president's listening session on guns today will include members of the Parkland community, but no word yet on exactly who. There will also be others affected by previous school shootings, including Columbine and Sandy Hook.
Tonight, Jake Tapper hosts a CNN town hall on guns. Stand Up. The students of Stoneman Douglas demand action. Officials, including Senator Marco Rubio, will take some questions. That's tonight at 9 Eastern, only on CNN.
Now, the New York Times is reporting overnight that Jared Kushner and White House Chief of Staff John Kelly are feuding over the presidential son-in-law's access to classified information. Kushner now has an interim security clearance, and he's had that for more than a year in his role as senior White House advisor. The Times says that Kushner is resisting giving up that access. He's also concerned he is a specific target of Kelly's recent directive, which is overhauling the White House clearance system.
Kelly's order cancels top-level clearances at the end of this week for any staffer whose background investigation has been pending since last June. The White House clearance process has been under scrutiny since Staff Secretary Rob Porter was forced to resign after both his ex-wives accused him of domestic abuse. In a statement last night, Kelly expressed confidence in Kushner's ability to continue performing his foreign policy-related duties.
And Vice President Mike Pence came very close to meeting secretly with the North Korean delegation at the Winter Olympics. Remember, he was there for the opening ceremony. Pence's office says he was set to meet with North Korean officials, including Kim Jong-un's sister, but the North Koreans pulled out of the planned meeting 2 hours before it was set to start. Officials believe that the abrupt cancellation was a sign that attempts by the U.S. to exert pressure on the regime are indeed working. President Trump had signed off on the Pence meeting with the caveat that he would not back off the U.S. demand that Pyongyang abandon its nuclear weapons. The State Department says it regrets North Korea's failure to, quote, seize this opportunity.
The White House doubling down on President Trump's claim he has been tougher on Russia than his predecessor. The president, of course, has frequently refused to condemn Russia for its interference in the 2016 election, even after last week's indictments against 13 Russians. Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders offering a cryptic statement Tuesday as part of the White House defense.
He has been tougher on Russia in the first year than Obama was in 8 years combined. He's imposed sanctions. He's taken away properties. He's rebuilt our military. He has done a number of things to put pressure on Russia and to be tough on Russia. Just last week, there was an incident that will be reported in the coming days.
This morning, Moscow is finally reacting to last Friday's indictment of 13 Russian citizens in Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation, and the Kremlin is not ruling out some kind of retaliation. For the latest, let's bring in CNN's Fred Pleitgen live in Moscow. Fred, what are they saying this morning?
Yeah, good morning, Alex. We were talking a little about the anger in the Kremlin and generally in the Russian government after those indictments were handed out. And I can tell you the reaction from the Russians was a lot more forceful than to basically any of the other things that have been announced as part of the allegations of Russian meddling in the 2016 election. And this morning, the deputy foreign minister is coming out and saying that there might be tit-for-tat measures, as he calls it, and sanctions by the Russians against the U.S. So he says we always react, including with tit-for-tat measures. We have our own lists of individuals whose entry to Russia has been restricted, but there are other ways to respond as well. He says the Russians are saying they want to see if there's going to be any additional sanctions on the part of the U.S. in the wake of those Mueller indictments. Now, the interesting part about all this is that the Russians are apparently also trying to somewhat turn the tides in all of this. They're saying that they believe the indictments handed down by Special Counsel Robert Mueller are a political measure aimed to meddle in Russia's upcoming election, which is set to happen on March 18th. They say that they believe that all of this was timed by the Americans to influence the political process here. So you can see a lot of anger, a lot of rumors flying around Moscow, and it's really something where these specific indictments by the special counsel certainly causing a much bigger reaction than many of the things that we've seen over the past year since we've been reporting on the alleged election meddling in 2016, Alex.
All right, a vague threat of tit-for-tat response. Thanks very much, Fred. Another Democratic victory in a deep red state. Linda Belcher winning the state special election for Kentucky's 49th district with 68% of the vote. Belcher reclaims her seat after narrowly losing the race in 2016 to Republican pastor Dan Johnson. Johnson committed suicide in December after an investigation found that he had sexually abused a 17-year-old girl. Johnson's widow, Rebecca, lost to Belcher last night. This is the same district that President Trump won with 72% of the vote in 2016. Belcher's win marks a huge 86-point partisan swing.
Right, 41 minutes past the hour, the Trump administration unveiling an alternative to Obamacare, proposing regulations that make it easier to get short-term health plans. The administration says these offer Americans more choice and lower premiums. Short-term plans are cheaper than Obamacare, cost as little as 20% of the cheapest Obamacare plans. That's because it excludes Americans with pre-existing conditions. It does not offer comprehensive coverage like maternity care, prescription drug, or mental health benefits. Insurers can now also limit how much they pay out, meaning costly medical emergencies could leave consumers paying out of pocket. Advocates and industry groups worry this move will hurt Obamacare. They claim the cheaper plans will attract the younger, healthier consumers, driving up Obamacare premiums for anyone else. The administration pushed back on that concern, claiming estimates show only 200,000 healthy enrollees will make the switch, adding that these policies are designed to fill a temporary gap in coverage. So watch this space.
Healthcare debate continues.
It sure does.
President Trump's son, Don Jr., is in India this morning. Ethics questions are following him because of meetings that he's holding out there. What Don Jr. says about that, live from Delhi next.
Facial hair is a problem for women of all ages, and removing it hurts. Until now, introducing Flawless, the new gold standard in facial hair removal from Finishing Touch, the world's #1 brand. Flawless is designed to be discreet.
This looks like a lipstick, actually a very fancy lipstick.
But inside is the finest German-engineered technology that removes hair instantly and painlessly with microscopic precision.
It just takes seconds, really, to get your whole face done.
And with an 18-karat gold-plated head, it's hypoallergenic and gentle on all skin types and tones. Flawless is the fastest, easiest, pain-free way to remove unwanted facial hair, guaranteed.
I'm able to get the smoothness of waxing without pain or redness.
A built-in light makes it easy to see and remove every single hair from your upper lip, cheek, or chin. No nicks, burns, or irritation. Just perfectly smooth, flawless skin.
I have little tiny hairs all over my face. Flawless is really effective. Without that peach fuzz, my skin is so smooth. My makeup goes on flawlessly.
Discreet and portable, so you're always prepared when hairs pop up out of nowhere. And unwanted hair won't grow back thicker. Dermatologist approved, Flawless is so effective it can remove hair from anywhere, yet gentle and safe to the touch.
I love that I really don't have to wait. There's no in-between times between when the hair grows back. I can use it every day if I want.
Flawless, the new gold standard from the experts in facial hair removal, Finishing Touch.
It's as if there wasn't hair there to begin with.
Flawless is not available in stores. Call 1-800-215-9239 or go to finishingtouchflawless.com and get yours for only $19.99. Try it risk-free for 60 days, and if you are not 100% satisfied, we'll refund your purchase.
It's like my little secret.
Flawless. It's the other lipstick you won't want to be without.
You won't see these folks at the post office. They have businesses to run. They have passions to pursue. How do they avoid trips to the post office? Stamps.com. Mail letters. Ship packages. All the amazing services of the post office right on your computer. Get a 4-week trial plus $100 in extras, including postage and a digital scale. Go to stamps.com/TV and never go to the post office again.
He was a star of the 2016 campaign. Now, Esquire says The Van Jones Show is one of the most anticipated TV shows of 2018. The Van Jones Show, Saturday night at 7 Eastern on CNN.
Introducing FreePrints, the new free app that lets you get all those great photos off your iPhone or Android phone and into your hands in just days. FreePrints lets you print up to 1,000 4x6 photos a year absolutely free. All you pay is a small shipping and handling charge. It's easy. Just select the photos you want to print on your phone or on Facebook or Instagram, then choose the sizes and quantities, and you're done. The app is free, and so are the prints. Get FreePrints today. Just go to freeprints.tv. That's freeprints.tv.
Today, we're finally getting our bathtub redone. We weren't happy with it.
Oh, we didn't want the headaches of demolition.
Or the days without our bathroom. Then a friend told us about Bathfitter and their unique tub-over-tub process. There's no demolition, and they install in as little as a day. They also have a seamless wall for a watertight fit. And Bathfitter has a lifetime guarantee. What a difference. Finally, a bathtub I love.
Call today or learn more at bathfitter.com.
American Dynasties, The Kennedys, premieres Sunday, March 11th at 9 on CNN.
Closed captioning brought to you by InventHelp. Call 1-800-900-0202.
Do you have an idea for an invention or new product? Do you think companies would be interested in your idea? Do you want to try to get a patent? Then call InventHelp now for free information.
Tensions between the U.S. and Palestinians clearly visible at the UN Security Council. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, saying the Trump administration will not change its decision to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. Haley also responding to comments earlier this month by the top Palestinian negotiator who said Haley should, quote, shut up with her criticism of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas.
I will decline the advice I was recently given by your top negotiator, Saeb Erekat. I will not shut up. Rather, I will respectfully speak some hard truths. The United States stands ready to work with the Palestinian leadership, but we will not chase after you.
Haley says she won't chase after anyone because Abbas left the room before she spoke.
Donald Trump Jr. is on a visit to India this morning, his company's biggest international market. He's now fueling ethical questions with meetings and dinners with people buying Trump-branded apartments. What's Don Jr. saying this morning? CNN's John Defterios is live with us in New Delhi. John, he's conflating, he's doing both politics and business at the same time. It's not a really good look, is it?
It's not a good look, but I would say that Donald Trump Jr., Alex, is being defiant about the Trump Organization's business ties here in India. He's got 4 days on the ground, visiting 4 major cities from the east and west, north to south, looking at 5 major projects. As you suggested, it is the Trump Organization's largest international market. We're looking at millions and millions of dollars of different developments. Today he's going to be heading west to Pune, a city outside of Mumbai, to look at towers there. But let's give a glimpse of what he's been doing for his first full day on the ground. He started here in the capital of New Delhi, meeting with developers and a very select group, I should add here, of journalists. And then he went Kolkata to host a dinner with investors there. And all along the way, he said, look, these words about conflict of interest are overblown. And in fact, he said, we're not getting credit for pushing deals away. Let's listen to his tone.
There is the opportunity cost of the deals that we're not able to do that don't get discussed. So when people talk about it these days, it's, you know, profiteering from the presidency and all this nonsense. It's like, wait a minute, I can't do deals. I've spent over a decade creating relationships to now where we have 5 incredible deals that are all active. And we could do so many more, and we're not doing those, but no one wants to talk about those kind of deals.
Donald Trump Jr. referring to the fact in 2016 they made a promise not to build out any more international projects, just living with what's on the table. But after having a very high-profile rollout with ads in national papers saying that Donald Trump Jr. has arrived, have you? They're downplaying it, the organizers. They're not telling us, for example, what the plans are in the financial capital of Mumbai. We do know that he's going to be going to Pune and then coming back to the capital on Friday. He says he's speaking as a businessman, but in front of the Prime Minister of India under the title of increasing or improving Indo-Pacific ties. It does sound like a foreign policy speech, you two, but he's claiming it's all for business.
Yeah, and the Prime Minister of India will be also at that speech, so it clearly has it looks like a foreign policy speech. Thanks very much, John Defterios in New Delhi.
Yes, sir.
All right, Wall Street's winning streak is over. Walmart partly to blame, so are almost 3% 10-year note yields. That hasn't happened in years. We're going to get a check on CNN Money next.
There is sort of a magic to it. The sunsetter comes out, and then the family comes out.
It's nice to get outside and get some fresh air and not be cooped up indoors all the time.
You just press that button, and you get as much shade or as little shade as you want.
It didn't take long to get it installed. It was up in a couple hours.
We're saving money. We're getting outdoors.
It really has changed our lives.
Call now for your free idea kit and get $200 savings. So now a sunsetter can be yours for as little as $5.99. Call 1-800-210-2068. 1-800-210-2068.
The finest luxury items at up to 90% off retail. Every item authenticated by our experts. Only at The Real Real. Shop now and get 20% off when you enter REAL at therealreal.com.
High blood pressure. It's the #1 leading cause of heart attacks and strokes.
Monitoring your blood pressure is a vital part of maintaining your health. And now there's an easy, accurate way of doing it.
Introducing Color Doctor, the clinically tested portable blood pressure monitor that utilizes a color-coded alert system that takes the guesswork out of reading your blood pressure. Simply fit it onto your wrist and press the start button. In less than 1 minute, Color Doctor will give you a clear and accurate blood pressure reading, like lights on a traffic signal. If the screen stays green, your blood pressure is normal and you're good to go. If it turns yellow, caution. Slow down, your blood pressure is elevated. And if it turns red, stop. Your blood pressure is dangerously high.
It's green, yellow, red. We all know what that means. It's very simple.
Along with reading your heart rate, Color Doctor will also alert you to an irregular heartbeat. Store up to 90 readings for 2 separate individuals, including the date and time, so you can share your results with your healthcare professional.
What's great about it is that it's like a little mini computer. I can take this right to my doctor and say, look, I'm doing really well.
Too many people don't realize they have high blood pressure until it's too late. I recommend checking your blood pressure on a daily basis so we can avoid complications in the future.
Why spend hundreds of dollars on bulky, hard-to-read monitors you can only use at home when you can get the portable, easy-to-read Color Doctor that simply goes around your wrist for only $39.99? Each Color Doctor comes complete with a sleek carrying case, absolutely free. But wait, call or go online now and you can double your order. Just pay a separate fee. That's one for you and one for a loved one. Don't take your health for granted. Order your Color Doctor today.
Call 1-800-719-6770 to get your special offer, Color Doctor. Call now or go to buycolordoctor.com. So call 1-800-719-6770. That's 1-800-719-6770. Deluxe version and rush delivery available. Call now.
OfferUp is a new free app that shows you what people are selling nearby.
It's kind of like a game. Every day there are new surprises.
Come on, flat screen TV.
Oh, come on, dining room table.
Come on, sofa.
Yeah.
OfferUp is free to use. Find anything you want nearby.
The deadliest school shooting since Sandy Hook. The students of Stoneman Douglas speak out to demand action and an end to the violence once and for all. Stand Up, a live CNN town hall hosted by Jake Tapper, tonight 9 Eastern.
Okay, be good, kiddo. I gotta go to work. I love you. Bye.
Dog home alone all day? Who knows what they'll get into? A day without a walk is a sad day for your dog. But now you can make your dog's day with WAG, the on-demand dog walking app. Get a WAG-certified walker to walk your dog at a moment's notice. WAG walks are insured and bonded. And WAG walkers are vetted, experienced dog handlers who'll give your dog the affection and attention they deserve. WAG has live GPS tracking and will even tell you where your dog marks its territory.
My dog pooped.
WAG, the #1 on-demand dog walking app. Get your first walk free when you download the app now.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Welcome back. Skiing superstar Lindsey Vonn brings home the bronze. It will sadly likely be her final Olympic downhill run.
Oh, and the tears were flowing. Coy Wire has more from Pyeongchang. Hi, Coy.
Hey there, Coy.
Good morning, Christine and Alex. There was a near silence from the Americans that were there at that downhill event when she crossed the line and saw the time. They knew how badly Lindsey wanted this. Downhill, perhaps her best chance at gold. She already missed out on a medal in the Super G. She cried afterwards because she was talking about how she wanted to win this one so badly for her grandfather, who fought here in the Korean War, not far from Pyeongchang. He passed away just a few months ago. She was hoping he'd be here. But a bronze medal at the Olympics, not so bad. And at 33 years old, that means that Vonn is the oldest woman ever to medal in Olympic alpine skiing. She still does have one more shot at a medal here in the alpine combined later tonight. All right, what happened to the American women in the short program of figure skating? They couldn't put together a clean routine. Mirai Nagasu and Brady Tennell both fell. Now, Tennell hadn't fallen all season. She even said afterwards that she couldn't remember the last time that she did fall. Karen Chen had to put her hand down to prevent herself from falling. The U.S. sitting at 9th, 10th, and 11th place heading into the free skate on Thursday. More disappointment for Team USA. For the second straight Olympics, U.S. men's hockey will not medal. It was close. It went into a shootout in the quarterfinals against the Czech Republic, but the Americans eliminated from the tournament in a 3-2 heartbreaker. All right, good news now. The 17-year-old freckled-faced sensation is back. Red Gerard qualified for the snowboarding big air competition, and he could become the second youngest man in history to win 2 Olympic gold medals. He shocked the world and himself when he won the slopestyle competition here in Pyeongchang. There was a 10-day break in between events, so he flew back to the U.S. to do a media tour. And Christine, Alex, he went coast to coast. He said he was on board with flying halfway around the world and coming back because he'd rack up a lot of airline miles. The final is on Friday night. in the States, and it'll be must-see TV. It is a new competition here in Olympic Games, and these athletes go big.
Yeah, they do. All right, Coy, thank you. Nice to see you this morning.
Thanks so much, Coy.
Right, a high-speed car chase in Los Angeles took a bizarre turn overnight. Police say the driver of a stolen truck tried to make his getaway. He slammed into a taxi, kept trying to avoid police. Watch this video from the chopper. The car actually followed the rails of a commuter train line on street level. That's when the car just disappears. It ended up in the train tunnel. Local train service was suspended. The LAPD managed to track down the driver, who they think was a driver, and a passenger. Let's get a check on CNN Money this morning. Wall Street. The Dow dragged lower by Walmart's worst day in 30 years. Walmart stock fell 10% on disappointing online sales. That weighed on stocks, as did bond prices. This week, the government auctioning off debt to help pay for tax cuts and increased spending. That sent bond yields, to a near 4-year high. 3M will pay $850 million to settle claims of contaminated water in Minnesota for 5 decades. 3M is based in St. Paul. Minnesota's Attorney General alleges it polluted water in the Twin Cities, dumping chemicals used to make Scotchgard from 1950 till the early 2000s. Officials say 3M should have known it posed a risk to the environment and residents' health. 3M says it will work with the state, but does not believe there is a related risk to the public. The co-founder of Guess stepping down amid harassment claims from supermodel Kate Upton. Paul Marciano will give up the day-to-day responsibilities during this investigation. Upton says Marciano verbally harassed her, touched her very inappropriately, groped her after a photo shoot in 2010. Marciano denies the accusation, but the allegations are costing his business. Guess's stock has dropped 20% since Upton first spoke out. Wow.
Yeah, some powerful allegations there.
Yep.
Early Start continues right now.
We are here to ask yes or no questions. Are you for or are you against the killing of students? It's a yes or no question. There is no in between. There's no gray area. It's a black and white statement.
Florida students take their gun message to the state capitol this morning, a day after the Republican-led state House voted against new restrictions. Now the president is weighing in, but without a concrete plan.
A new report this morning says Jared Kushner is resisting changes to his security clearance. He thinks John Kelly is targeting him with new changes.
And a new breaking point for the humanitarian crisis in Syria. Hundreds killed in the latest regime shelling, leaving the UN literally at a loss for words. Good morning and welcome to Early Start. I'm Alex Marquardt.
Nice to have you here
Great
today.
To be back
Dave
with you.
Briggs is on vacation. I'm Christine Romans. It is Wednesday, February 21st. It is 5 a.m. in the east, exactly here, noon in Damascus, 7 p.m. in Pyeongchang. In just a few hours, students from Stoneman Douglas High School will lobby lawmakers in Tallahassee to tighten Florida's gun laws. Activists and Parkland students and teachers will also rally on the front of the state capitol. The students are already getting a quick lesson that demanding change is easier than persuading someone to vote for it.
It really is. Now, last night, Florida's Republican-led State House rejected a proposed ban on assault weapons and large-capacity magazines. The bill was defeated by a vote of 36 to 71. Of those 71 voting against it, all but 4 had strong ratings from the NRA. The Florida House vote came as some Stoneman Douglas students watched from the gallery. Emotions ran high during the vote and after.
The next death of someone with an assault rifle here in Florida is going to be on them. It's going to be on them, and it's going to be their fault that those people are dead, and that those people aren't going to go home to their families, and that there's going to be an empty space in people's lives, and it's going to be their fault.
Students so disappointed, still heartbroken. Instead of guns, lawmakers will begin debate on a bill to declare pornography a public health risk. Despite the setback, students vowing to march on with their message. Planned meetings include the Attorney General and Governor Rick Scott.
Now, ahead of the governor's sit-down with the students, he is laying out a new timeline, but not many details for getting something done quickly on gun violence.
My goal is Friday, I'm going to come up with a proposal. My goal is to come up with something that is going to move the needle and make parents feel more comfortable that their kid's going to go to a safe school. That's the goal. I mean, these kids have got to go to safe schools. We got 2 weeks left of session. Those 2 weeks after Friday, we're going to get something done.
Last week, Scott told CNN that everything is on the table in the effort to solve the gun violence problem.
All right, joining us here, CNN political analyst Julian Zelizer, historian and professor at Princeton University. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So yesterday, a couple of signals from the White House. The president saying that he's going to sign a memorandum of understanding telling Jeff Sessions, his attorney general, to find proposals about bump stocks. And he has indicated that on the AR-15, maybe he would be open to an age limit on buying an AR-15. Let's listen to how Sarah Sanders said the president's positions are evolving.
Background checks are something that the president's supportive of making more efficient and looking at better ways to improve that process. The president supports not having the use of bump stocks, and that we expect further action on that in the coming days.
Does the president believe there should be an age limit for those who buy an AR-15?
I think that's certainly something that's on the table for us to discuss and that we expect to come up over the next couple of weeks.
Are you expecting true White House leadership on the gun violence issue?
I'm still skeptical. Obviously, there's some opening now where we're hearing at least some positive remarks in terms of doing something, but this is going to get tough. The NRA is going to fight very hard against any kind of regulation, and that will be the real test of whether this president will go through. And so far, he hasn't really followed through on a lot of tough issues. So we have to be skeptical as this unfolds.
How does the NRA get away with it? How do they have so much power in this debate? When you look at these incredible numbers, a recent Quinnipiac poll saying that 97% of all Americans support background checks for gun buyers, a majority support an assault weapons ban. Are they really that much more powerful than the voters?
Well, they're not, but they are organized, they are mobilized, and they have both money and political savvy. And so when these issues come before Congress, they are ready to put the pressure on members so they stay away from restrictions in a way that the general public is not. They can be countered, but it's going to take a lot of organization.
And we're showing these Florida lawmakers, Republicans along party lines, who voted against an assault weapons ban there, and you can see their NRA rating, many of them A+, and some of those students were just so disappointed. Do you think that this generation, that these students somehow are going to have a voice that's going to I don't know, rally voters to do something?
They could. Look, we've had moments in American history where young people can change the course of American history. We saw that with the civil rights movement, with the anti-war movement, even with the conservative movement in the 1970s. And they are the key, more than President Trump right now. This will be about them. Can they create something bigger out of this outrage? Can they go to Washington? Can they go to districts and become the counterweight to the NRA? That's the big question right now.
And just switching gears, we now know, or we've heard reporting from the New York Times that there's this feud allegedly between John Kelly and Jared Kushner in the wake of his new restrictions on clearances. How will that impact the day-to-day business of people in the White House? How will that impact someone like Jared Kushner, who has this massive portfolio, both domestically and in foreign policy?
Well, we'll see how effective Kelly can be. This is the ongoing story of John Kelly. He calls for order. He demands some kind of tight rules, but then members of the administration, including the president, circumvent him. And so Jared Kushner is a key player, and I think he's going to resist any effort to curtail his access. And he has a big portfolio, including the Middle East, that the president is depending on. So I'm not sure Kelly's going to win out on this.
Where you would arguably need security clearance.
Exactly.
All right, Julian, come back in a few minutes. We'll talk more. Lots to talk about this morning. And tonight, Jake Tapper hosts the CNN Town Hall on Guns. Stand Up. The students of Stoneman Douglas demand action. Officials, including Senator Marco Rubio, will be taking questions. That's tonight at 9 Eastern, only on CNN.
Now, this morning, Moscow is not ruling out what they're calling tit-for-tat measures in response to last Friday's indictment of 13 Russians in Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. A Russian official says the U.S. is just trying to interfere in Russia's upcoming election. This comes after the White House stood behind President Trump's claim that he has been tougher on Russia than his predecessor, Barack Obama.
He has been tougher on Russia in the first year than Obama was in 8 years combined. He's imposed sanctions. He's taken away properties. He's rebuilt our military. He has done a number of things to put pressure on Russia and to be tough on Russia. Just last week, there was an incident that will be reported in the coming days.
Yes, she didn't elaborate on what that incident might be. The president, of course, has frequently refused to condemn Russia for its interference in the election. A European lawyer, Alex van der Zwaan, meanwhile, pleaded guilty to lying to investigators in the Mueller investigation. Van der Zwaan admitted covering up his communications with former Trump campaign aide Rick Gates. His passport has been seized. Stay tuned on that.
Much more to come. Now, the crisis in Syria is escalating. New strikes on rebels left the UN literally speechless. We'll speak with our chief international correspondent, Christian Amanpour, next.
Another month?
There are procedures.
Oh, they will come. Oh, is that what I tell the investors?
Tell them we don't have to do this one country at a time. BDO says the approval process is similar throughout Latin America.
So parallel tracks.
If we have first-hand experience in each country.
And BDO can find these people.
BDO has these people.
People who know BDO.
Find your winter in Korea. Draw your winter story in Pyeongchang 2018.
It's time to pick a used car.
I really don't want to get ripped off.
Just start at Carfax.
Yeah, show me the Carfax.
Get the most accurate price based on a car's history.
Look at all the great deals.
Start your used car search at the all-new Carfax.com.
Oh, that's lovely.
So graceful.
The corkscrew spin, flawless. His signature move, the Flying Dutchman. Poetry in motion.
And there it is, the baby bird.
Breathtaking.
A sumo wrestler figure skating? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much money Heather saved by switching to Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Dial your binge watching up to 11. Join the Uncarrier right now and get 4 unlimited lines for only $35 each. Whoa. Plus Netflix for the whole family on us. So they get their shows.
Let's go, girl.
You're gonna love this bit. And you get yours. Watch however you want on your phone, tablet, or TV. For a limited time, get 4 lines for just $35 per line with no extra charges. It's showtime. All on America's best unlimited network, T-Mobile.
This is something that I'm really passionate about. I really want to help.
I was on my way out of this life.
There are patients out there that don't have a lot of time.
Finally, it was like the sun rose again, and I was going to start fighting back now.
When those patients come to me and say, "You saved my life,"
my life was saved by a 2-week-old targeted therapy drug.
That's what really drives me to save lives.
From the first moment you met, it was love at first touch. And all you wanted to do was surround them in comfort and protection. That's why only Pampers Swaddlers is the #1 choice of hospitals. To wrap your baby in blanket-like softness and premium protection. So that all they feel is love. Wishing you love, sleep, and play, Pampers.
I hate to ask, but is there any chance of an upgrade?
Any chance of an upgrade? Upgrade, pretty please. Look into my eyes.
Could be twins.
Have you thought about being a model?
Don't upgrade your seat. Upgrade your airline. Fly Emirates, the best economy class in the world.
Who are they? Oh, those are not used. They also wanted this house, but you use Realtor.com. With more homes for sale, updating in real time, you found it before they could. Oh, okay. Find your dream home before Not You finds it. Realtor.com.
All right, 11 minutes past the hour. Syrian regime forces are targeting one of the last remaining rebel strongholds. At least 250 civilians killed by shelling and airstrikes over the past few days. This is in Syria's eastern Ghouta, outside Damascus. These pictures are, I've got to warn you, they're hard to watch here. This is according to the UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. CNN Chief International Correspondent Christiane Amanpour is live for us from London. And Christiane, UNICEF, the children's charity, the UN children's charity, actually releasing a statement with no words on this piece of paper. It has literally no words for the destruction happening to civilians there.
Which speaks in itself 1,000 words, because I've never seen that before. I mean, just to say that we simply have nothing more to say and nothing more to appeal to the world. If they can't understand and see the pictures of this suffering, then what else are we to do? I mean, the UN has come under criticism, and they keep saying, look, we're unarmed diplomats, and we are begging the Syrian regime. We are talking to every single one of the outside powers who's involved in what amounts to a proxy war in Syria, whether it's Iran, the government of Russia, the government, certainly the United States, and all the others who have activities in Syria to stop the bombardments there in the Damascus suburb. And there are people on the ground who've been telling us, we've been reporting this over the last 24, 48 hours, that it is, and they used a very strong term, it's like a Holocaust is unfolding in Ghouta right now. And it is the last remaining rebel-held stronghold close to Damascus. So you can see what Assad's trying to do. He believes that with Iran, Hezbollah, and with Russia behind him, he's won the war. And he just wants to clean it up, mop it up as quick as he can, and figure out what kind, if any, contiguous land he can hold on to call himself head of state. And it looks very much like it's headed for an Aleppo-style ending, which the Russians themselves have said, which involves massive bombardment, massive slaughter of civilians, although they're denying that they're targeting civilians, and then potentially a surrender and an evacuation. I mean, that looks like what's on the cards, and the cost in blood of men, women, and children there is just extreme right now.
And Ghouta, of course, is the same area where in 2013 there was a chemical weapons attack that the U.S. accused the Assad regime of carrying out, some 1,400 people killed. But looking up north, Christiane, there's also a conflict unfolding, a potential flashpoint unfolding between Turkish forces that have invaded Syria and then the pro-Assad side, the Syrians, the Iranians, Hezbollah, as you mentioned. How dangerous, how much of a risk is there of that escalating into something much bigger?
Well, look, it's pretty bad up there, because on the one hand, you've got Assad and his enablers doing what they're doing around Damascus to try to remain and retain control of the last holdouts there. And on the other hand, all the way up to the Turkish border, the Syrian regime has decided to ally itself with the Kurds up there and basically try to do what it can to bolster that sort of area. And the Turks, which are obviously a NATO ally, an ally of the United States, are challenging the United States for their support of these Kurds in that region. So it is literally more complicated than you can even imagine. And just by listening to me, you can see there is no real understanding or thread or coherence about how to end this. You've got two NATO allies, the United States and Turkey, at loggerheads and potentially, you know, in military confrontation if this gets out of hand over the Kurds. You've got the Syrian regime, which has no truck for the Kurds, who've decided to go up there and try their luck and solidify some land up there. And you've got Turkey that has come into the Syrian border area to try to bolster its border there, because they're terrified of the Kurds, and they accuse the Kurds of being aligned with terrorist organizations that want to overthrow the Turkish regime. So it is an unholy mess right there. And the problem is that the United States hasn't yet articulated what its vision of the future is, and the others, they know what they want to achieve. The Iranians, the Russians, and the Assad and the Hezbollah and that lot, they're just trying to hang on to power for as long as they can there.
Let's talk about North Korea and this reporting that the Vice President Mike Pence was set to meet with North Koreans, and then just a few hours before that meeting, the North Koreans canceled it. What do you make of this, I guess, thwarted effort to actually talk?
Well, look, again, this is very confusing, because if you remember, the narrative around the opening ceremonies, which were somewhere around February 10th, was that Vice President Pence had refused to turn around and shake the hand of Kim Jong-un's personal envoy, which was his sister. Now we're hearing that it potentially is the other way around. It's difficult to actually confirm that since we're not in the room. We understand what the Vice President's office is saying. All I can tell you is that I spoke face-to-face, like 4 days before that alleged meeting was meant to happen, with the top national security and foreign policy advisor to the South Korean president. His name is Chung In-moon. He told me that it would be wonderful if North Korea gave a positive sign and there was some kind of meeting with the Vice President during what they call the Peace Olympics there in Pyeongchang. But he said to me, the South Korean National Security Advisor, that the North Koreans would have to demonstrate at least some willingness to understand the United States and the West's concerns, the global concerns, that it needs to denuclearize, that it needs to have respect for human rights and this and that. But there was an opportunity to have some kind of at least handshake or deciding, you know, whether to carry this further, because a very top senior advisor to Kim Jong-un was there, and that's Kim Yong-nam, who's number 2 in the North Korean regime.
All right, Christiana Amanpour, with so much going on, thank you so much for that.
Now, there's a new health insurance alternative. Officials hope will make it easier to obtain coverage. We'll explain these short-term plans in about 10 minutes.
When you look at the Mercedes-Benz GLC, with its high-tech cameras and radar, contemporary cockpit, 360-degree network of driver assist technologies, and sporty performance, what's most impressive about the GLC? All depends on your point of view. Lease the GLC 300 for just $449 a month at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
ProPlan BrightMind Adult 7 Plus promotes alertness and mental sharpness in dogs 7 and older.
The difference has been incredible. She's much more aware. She wants to learn things.
Purina ProPlan BrightMind, nutrition that performs.
A fair immigration plan, less immigration, better border security, strong interior law enforcement, and an end to unfair foreign labor programs. But special interests are trying to stop all of these plans, and we need your help. We're fair, and we support real immigration reform. To find out what you can do to help, go to fairus.org. That's FAIRUS.org. Time is short.
Don't we need that cable box to watch TV?
Nope.
Don't we need a run?
Nope. It just explodes in a high-pitched...
Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. No satellite needed.
OfferUp is a new free app that shows what your neighbors are selling.
It's kind of like a game. There's always new surprises.
Come on sofa.
Come on dining room table.
Come on flat screen TV.
OfferUp is free to use. Find anything you want nearby.
Last year's ad campaign was a success for ChoiceHotels.com.
Bada book, bada boom.
This year, we're taking it up a notch.
So in this commercial, we see 2 travelers at a Comfort Inn with a glow around them. So people watching will be like, wow, maybe I'll glow too if I book direct at ChoiceHotels.com.
Who glows? Just say bada book, bada boom.
Nobody glows.
He gets it.
Always the lowest price, guaranteed. Book now at ChoiceHotels.com.
Managing blood sugar is a series of smart choices. And when you replace one meal or snack a day with Glucerna, made with Carb Steady to help minimize blood sugar spikes, you can really feel it. Now with 30% less carbs and sugars. Glucerna.
What is style all about? Maybe something about personality? Once you find your own way of living, I think style is automatic. Tissot, every time, Swissmatic.
The deadliest school shooting since Sandy Hook. The students of Stoneman Douglas speak out to demand action and an end to the violence once and for all. Stand Up, a live CNN town hall hosted by Jake Tapper. Tomorrow evening, 9 Eastern.
Introducing Free Prints, the new free app that lets you get all those great photos off your iPhone or Android phone and into your hands in just days. Free Prints lets you print up to 1,000 4x6 photos a year absolutely free. All you pay is a small shipping and handling charge. It's easy. Just select the photos you want to print on your phone or on Facebook or Instagram, then choose the sizes and quantities, and you're done. The app is free, and so are the prints. Get Free Prints today. Just go to freeprints.tv. That's freeprints.tv.
I hated our bathtub, but who has time for a remodel? Not this family. And then there's the mess. Then I heard about Bathfitter. They came in and put a beautiful new bathtub right over our old one. Bathfitter also has seamless walls that provide a watertight fit. There's no mess, no demolition, and they get it done in as little as 1 day. Plus, they provide a lifetime guarantee. Thanks to Bathfitter, I have a bathtub I love.
Call today or learn more at bathfitter.com.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
One of the women accusing the President Trump, of sexual misconduct says she won't be bullied into silence. Rachel Crooks claims Trump forcibly kissed her when she worked as a receptionist in Trump Tower back in 2006. Crooks' story landed on the front page of the Washington Post on Tuesday, and that prompted a Twitter denial from the president. Crooks responded to that on CNN last night.
Not surprised that he called me a liar. I mean, that's not the first time. It is the first time, I guess, he's attacked me personally on Twitter. I would think, as our president, he would have more important things to do than to tweet at me and try to discredit my story. I know what's true. He knows what's true, and I think he should be afraid of that.
The aggressive behavior she alleges is almost exactly what the president was overheard saying on that infamous 2005 Access Hollywood tape. Rachel Crooks is now running for the Ohio House of Representatives as a Democrat.
Federal courts will now begin tracking and releasing data on sexual harassment complaints against judges. As it stands, the U.S. court system is closely controlled and cloaked in secrecy. Some investigations are even ended if a judge retires, most times with a full pension. A CNN investigation learned that of nearly 5,000 judicial misconduct cases over the past 11 years, very few are investigated and judges are rarely punished. That Pennsylvania groundhog has no idea what he's talking about. It's so warm here in New York.
Unbelievable.
You would never know that it's February with these record high temperatures here in the east. Meteorologist Pedram Javaheri joins us with the forecast.
Alex and Christine, yes, the big heat is the big story here. Record warmth widespread across the eastern seaboard today. Back behind it, as interesting as it gets when it comes to a weather pattern for this time of year. More on that momentarily, but over 60 records possible on this Wednesday, and really stretches over a 1,000-mile stretch of land there out of parts of central Florida all the way up there towards portions of New England. But you notice this, we're talking about temps really shattering all-time records for the date there. 68 in New York City. Well, we're going to get up to 71, I think, by this afternoon. Boston, 68 is what we're expecting. 63 is the record high temperature for this date as well. Now, we talked about Texas and the significance of the weather here because a big-time ice storm in progress across the northern and central tier of the state. Generally a 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 an inch, but notice that stretches all the way into parts of St. Louis, into the Midwest as well. That's enough ice there to not be a crippling event, but really could be a disruptive event when it comes to being on the roadways or potentially heading out towards the airport as well. But just to the east of that line, tremendous rainfall, a lot of moisture source available there, courtesy of the Gulf of Mexico. So we'll see a flooding risk in place. In fact, upwards of 45 million people at a threat here for some flooding to take place over the next 24 or so hours. Guys?
Wow, 45 million people under flood threat. Be careful out there.
We deserve it. We've had a rough winter.
Yes, we have.
It's been cold. We need to thaw it a little bit.
We deserve, today's going to be a good day for a run in Central Park. All right, President Trump offering few specifics, but looking for new ideas on guns.
We cannot merely take actions that make us feel like we are making a difference. We must actually make a difference.
Anxious students want to know exactly how. They're meeting with Florida lawmakers today, a day after those lawmakers voted down a bill to ban assault weapons.
Your early start weather, brought to you by Zantac. No pill relieves heartburn faster.
Hey, need fast heartburn relief?
Try Cool Mint Zantac. It releases a cooling sensation in your mouth and throat. Zantac works in as little as 30 minutes. Nexium can take 24 hours. Try Cool Mint Zantac. No pill relieves heartburn faster.
An umbrella can keep you dry when it starts to pour, but it's a struggle to get it closed and into the door. Then it drips and makes messes all over the floor. Well, not anymore. Introducing Betterbrella, the ingenious new umbrella with reverse open-close technology. There's no easier way to get in from the rain. You'll always stay dry with no puddles inside. The secret? Betterbrella opens and closes differently than other umbrellas. Old umbrellas just get in the way. But watch how fast and easy Betterbrella saves the day. Plus, look, close it and it forms a waterproof cone. All the wetness stays inside, not on your floor. Amazing! The secret is Betterbrella's smart redesign of the traditional umbrella. We turned it upside down and inside out, making it easier to use and much more practical. So now it's super simple to get in and out of any door without getting wet. You'll be inside in a jiffy with Betterbrella. And never worry about the wind again, because Betterbrella is windproof. Strong wind, soaking rain, or heavy snow, Betterbrella keeps you dry wherever you go.
This umbrella makes my rainy days so much easier. Whether I'm walking the dog or grocery shopping, this umbrella works.
Standard umbrellas sell for more than $40, and one that's windproof is over $50. But today, you can get the all-new Betterbrella in your choice of black, red, or blue for just $29.99. Plus, call now and we'll instantly upgrade you to our special ergonomic handle. The soft comfort grip molds perfectly to any hand and makes it easier to hold. Yours free. And we guarantee Betterbrella will be the last umbrella you'll ever own or your money back. But wait, call right now and we'll double the offer. That's right, get a second Betterbrella. Just pay separate fee. That's 2 Betterbrellas for just $29.99. Call now.
To order your Betterbrella, call 1-800-842-6157. That's 1-800-842-6157. Or order online at mybetterbrella.com.
It's time to get your glow on. New Aveeno Positively Radiant Body Lotion with the moisture-rich power of soy. It transforms dull, dry skin to leave you glowing. New Positively Radiant Body Collection from Aveeno.
It's Golden Corral's Prime Rib and Shrimp Spectacular. Slow roasted prime rib, butterfly shrimp, bone-in catfish, and more. It's time to saddle up. The Prime Rib and Shrimp Spectacular, just $13.99 every night. Your choice rules.
If you've been struggling with belly pain and constipation and you're overwhelmed by everything you've tried, all those laxatives, daily probiotics, endless fiber, it could be wearing on you. Tell your doctor what you've tried and how long you've been at it. Linzess works differently from laxatives. Linzess treats adults with IBS with constipation or chronic constipation. It can help relieve your belly pain and lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements that are easier to pass. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Don't take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Ask your doctor if 90 days of Linzess may be right for you.
Just because you're cooking at home doesn't mean you can't travel the globe. Plated is the meal kit for people who love food, and our flexible plans fit every table and schedule. Our diverse menus include 20 globally inspired, chef-designed recipes and 2 delicious desserts every week. Get everything you need to make amazing dinners delivered in one completely customized box. From pre-portioned, high-quality ingredients to easy-to-follow recipe cards. Get 25% off your first 4 orders at plated.com/25x4.
We are here to ask yes or no questions. Are you for or are you against the killing of students? It's a yes or no question. There is no in between. There's no gray area. It's a black and white statement.
Florida students take their gun violence message to the state capitol this morning, a day after the Republican-led State House voted down any restrictions. Now the president weighs in, but without a concrete plan.
And a new report this morning says that Jared Kushner is resisting changes to his security clearance. He thinks that John Kelly, the chief of staff, is targeting him with new changes.
And Team USA disappoints at the Olympics. Figure skaters struggle. Men's ice hockey is done. Lindsey Vonn very emotional after her final Olympic downhill. We've got Coy Wire. Welcome back to Early Start, everybody. I'm Christine Romans.
And I'm Alex Marquardt. Great to be with you again. It is now almost 31 minutes past the hour, and in just a few hours, students from Stoneman Douglas High School will lobby lawmakers in Tallahassee to tighten Florida's gun laws. Activists and Parkland students and teachers will also rally in front of the state capitol, but the students are already getting a quick lesson that demanding change is far easier than persuading someone to vote for it.
That's right. Last night, Florida's Republican-led State House rejected a ban on assault weapons and large-capacity magazines. That bill was defeated by a vote of 36 to 71. Of those 71, all but 4 had strong ratings from the NRA. The Florida House vote came as some Stoneman Douglas students watched from the gallery. Their emotions ran high during that vote and after.
The next step of someone with an assault rifle here in Florida is going to be on them. It's going to be on them, and it's going to be their fault that those people are dead, and that those people aren't going to go home to their families, and that there's going to be an empty space in people's lives, and it's going to be their fault.
But instead of guns, lawmakers will begin debate on a bill to declare pornography a public health risk. Despite the setback, students are vowing to march on with this message. Planned meetings include the Attorney General and Governor Rick Scott.
Ahead of Governor Scott sit down with the students, he's laying out a new timeline for getting something done quickly on gun violence.
My goal is Friday, I'm going to come up with a proposal. My goal is to come up with something that is going to move the needle and make parents feel more comfortable that their kid's going to go to a safe school. That's the goal. I mean, these kids have got to go to safe schools. We have 2 weeks left of session. Those 2 weeks after Friday, we're going to get something done.
Last week, Scott told CNN, quote, everything is on the table in the effort to solve the problem of gun violence.
Joining us here now is CNN political analyst Julian Zelizer, historian and professor at Princeton University.
Welcome back.
Good morning, Professor.
Good morning.
So, in the wake of this horrific shooting, we've heard that, everyone talking about how this is such an atrocious tragedy and vague notions of doing something and plans. But the one concrete thing that has been talked about are bump stocks, which became really well known after the Vegas massacre. Let's listen to what the president had to say about that yesterday.
Background checks are something that the president's supportive of making more efficient and looking at better ways to improve that process. The president supports not having the use of bump stocks, and that we expect further action on that in the coming days.
Does the president believe there should be an age limit for those who buy an AR-15?
I think that's certainly something that's on the table for us to discuss and that we expect to come up over the next couple of weeks.
Well, that was Sarah Sanders and not the president. Bump stocks seems like the one thing that everyone can kind of agree on doing away with. The NRA even has mentioned support. But is there anything to indicate that any sort of new legislation or activity can go beyond that?
The only thing that indicates that is the anger of the students and their willingness, at least right now, to go beyond the initial outrage to political mobilization. If they don't, I think this is the top limit of what we are going to get. And we have to remember, just the bump stocks is a pretty small reform given the crisis we face. And we're not even talking about legislation. We're talking about doing it through regulation, which in itself is much weaker than doing it through a bill.
The president saying yesterday he's signed a memorandum of understanding to the Attorney General to find out what kind of policies on bump stocks are likely. What kind of leadership are you seeing here? I mean, is he really diving in and saying, all right, I'm going to be the presidential leader on this, or is he kind of tiptoeing in?
I think he's almost backing into this after the anger was so great to do something about this. If there's really going to be legislation, it will both require grassroots pressure, but it will also require forceful presidential leadership. That's what we saw in '94 with Bill Clinton and the assault weapons ban. It's unclear if President Trump is really willing to do that.
And you write that in the Clinton case, there were prior presidents who also supported him. There were other leaders.
Ronald Reagan actually helped push the Brady bill, and he wrote op-eds saying we have to stop with this and we have to do something.
A president who's a victim of gun violence.
It really takes some top-down leadership, and it will be beyond a few days. It can't be Trump timing, meaning just a few days of interest and then moving on. This has to be a sustained battle, maybe over months, to actually outflank the NRA.
A lot of people have thrown up their hands and said, or threw up their hands rather after Sandy Hook, saying if this many children can be massacred and nothing changes, then this will never change. But it does feel like some things are changing. Is that because these young adults, these children from Parkland are so eloquent and have been speaking out so much?
Well, it could be. People felt that way about civil rights in the early 60s, meaning nothing will ever happen, and then it happened. And some of it was about young African Americans going out to the streets and demanding some kind of change. Let's also remember, though, in 2000 we had a Million Moms March for gun control. 700,000 people, I think, came to Washington, and nothing happened. So we don't know which part of history we're on right now, and that's why I think we're watching these young people rather eagerly to see what they can make of this.
20 years of mass shootings in schools. This is the mass shooting generation. They drill for it. Maybe they're going to have, think that we all have failed them, and they'll try to fix it themselves. Let's talk about Donald Trump Jr. He is in India doing family business, and it looks like geopolitical business as well.
Same time.
There's a big debate about whether he's blurring the lines between business and government. I'm not sure there's even a line there. What do you see that is so unique about this Donald Trump selling family business in India right now?
Well, look, it goes back to day one of this administration. You have a massive business empire, the Trump business empire, and you have the presidency. And there are no clear lines that separate them. This has always been a problem. The president has given control of the business to his sons, but as you see, the sons are very close to their father, and they're also very close to
geopolitical. Do you think it's a conflict of interest?
It's a total conflict of interest, and it's a major problem that we face, and we don't talk about enough. But the lines between the Trump presidency and the Trump business, I think they're either not there or they're so blurry they're impossible to see. And this is not what we can have in a healthy democracy.
All right, Julian Zolitzer, nice to see you this morning. Thank you so much. So much to get to today.
Now tonight, Jake Tapper is hosting a CNN town hall on guns. It's called Stand Up. The students of Stoneman Douglas demand action. Officials joining Jake Tapper include Senator Marco Rubio. He will be taking questions. That's at 9 Eastern tonight, only on CNN.
All right, the New York Times reporting overnight that Jared Kushner and White House Chief of Staff John Kelly are feuding over the presidential son-in-law's access to classified info. Kushner has held an interim security clearance for more than a year in his role as a senior White House advisor. Now, the Times says Kushner doesn't want to give up that access. He's also concerned he's a specific target of Kelly's recent directive overhauling the White House clearance system.
Now, Kelly's order cancels top-level clearances at the end of this week for any staffer whose background investigation has been pending since last June. The White House security clearance process has been under scrutiny since Staff Secretary Rob Porter was forced to resign after both of his ex-wives accused him of domestic abuse. In a statement last night, Chief of Staff John Kelly expressed confidence in Kushner's ability to continue performing his very wide-ranging foreign policy-related duties.
Vice President Mike Pence came very close to meeting secretly with the North Korean delegation at the Winter Olympics. Pence's office says he was set to meet with North Korean officials, including Kim Jong-un's sister, but the North Koreans pulled out of the planned meeting 2 hours before it was to start. Officials believe that abrupt cancellation was a sign that attempts by the U.S. to exert pressure on the regime were working. President Trump had signed off on the Pence meeting with the caveat that he would not back down from the U.S. demand that Pyongyang abandon its nuclear weapons.
It would have been a heck of a picture.
Yeah.
This morning, Moscow is not ruling out tit-for-tat measures, as they're calling them, in response to last Friday's indictment of 13 Russians in Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation of a Russian official says the U.S. is just trying to interfere in Russia's upcoming election. This comes after the White House stood behind President Trump's claim that he has been tougher on Russia than his predecessor, Barack Obama.
He has been tougher on Russia in the first year than Obama was in 8 years combined. He's imposed sanctions. He's taken away properties. He's rebuilt our military. He has done a number of things to put pressure on Russia and to be tough on Russia. Just last week, there was an incident that will be reported in the coming days.
No hint what that interference in the election. Meantime, a European lawyer, Alex van der Zwaan, pleaded guilty to lying to investigators in the Mueller investigation. Van der Zwaan admitted covering up his communications with former Trump campaign aide Rick Gates. All right, the Trump administration unveiling an alternative to Obamacare, proposing regulations that make it easier to get short-term health plans. The White House says these offer Americans more choice and lower premiums. Short-term plans are cheaper than Obamacare. They cost as little as 20% of the cheapest Obamacare plans. That's because it excludes Americans with pre-existing conditions. It doesn't offer comprehensive coverage like maternity care, prescription drug coverage, or mental health benefits. Insurers can also limit how much they pay out, meaning costly medical emergencies could leave consumers paying out of pocket. Advocates and industry groups worry that this move will hurt Obamacare, claiming the cheaper plans will attract the younger, healthier consumers. That drives up Obamacare premiums and premiums, frankly, for everyone else. The administration pushed back on that concern. The White House says estimates show only 200,000 healthy enrollees will make the switch. These policies, they say, are designed to fill a temporary gap in coverage.
A new breaking point for the humanitarian crisis in the Syrian war. Hundreds killed in the latest regime shelling, leaving the UN literally at a loss for words.
Search for a really strong glue that's clear.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Clear glue. Clear Gorilla Glue.
Of course. Gorilla Glue strength in a crystal clear formula for the toughest jobs on planet Earth.
You can't just inherit 4,000 acres.
Dad, I'm not saying...
The taxes. Amanda, you'd get killed on the taxes.
I was going to say, there's a way I can buy the business. We set up a trust, and that's how we transfer the stock.
But the estate taxes?
There are no estate taxes. And you keep getting paid, same as before.
Let's run this by BDO.
It was their idea.
People who know BDO.
I just want to find a used car without getting ripped off.
Start at thenewcarfax.com.
Show me used trucks with one owner.
Pretty cool.
Show me the Carfax.
Start your used car search at theallnewcarfax.com.
People would stare. Psoriasis does that.
It was tough getting out there on stage.
I wanted to be clear. I wanted it to...
One 1-800-613-2725 to get your color doctor. Call now or go to buycolordoctor.com. So call 1-800-613-2725. That's 1-800-613-2725. Call now.
New day. The most news in the morning. Up next on CNN. Closed captioning brought to you by InventHelp. Call 1-800-900-0202.
Do you have an idea for an invention or new product? Do you think companies would be interested in your idea? Do you want to try to get a patent? Then call InventHelp now for free information.
Welcome back. Now, breaking news overnight. A police officer in Mobile, Alabama was shot and killed. The officer was responding to a call of a woman found dead in a residential area. Officials say the officer was shot at when he tried to speak with what they're calling a person of interest. Police say the shooting suspect is also dead, but it is unclear whether officers shot him or whether he killed himself. Neither officer nor the suspect have been identified.
All right, tensions between the U.S. and Palestinians on full display at the UN Security Council. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, saying the Trump administration will not change its decision to move the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. Haley also responding to comments earlier this month by the top Palestinian negotiator, who said Haley should shut up with her criticism of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas.
I will decline the advice I was recently given by your top negotiator, Saeb Erekat. I will not shut up. Rather, I will respectfully speak some hard truths. The United States stands ready to work with the Palestinian leadership, but we will not chase after you.
Haley said she won't chase after anyone because Abbas left the room before she spoke.
Now, there's been a major escalation by Syrian regime forces targeting one of the last remaining rebel strongholds near the capital, Damascus. At least 250 civilians killed by shelling and airstrikes over the past few days in a suburb called Eastern Ghouta. That's according to the UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. The situation's so desperate that UNICEF, which is the UN's Children's Fund, responded literally in a statement with no words. In that statement it issued on the bloody siege, it was blank. Now, we warn you that some of the video you're seeing here is disturbing. Let's go to CNN's Jomana Karadsheh following those developments in Amman. Jomana, so much of the focus and so much of the coverage of this war has been about defeating ISIS, and this is just a reminder of the continuing unbelievable brutality in Syria and that this war is far from over.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned there, UNICEF yesterday just saying that they've run out of words to describe the horrors that are unfolding in Eastern Ghouta. And just a short time ago, Alex, we were speaking to a medical worker in that enclave, and as our producer was speaking to him, you could hear an airstrike in the background. So really no end in sight for this latest offensive by the regime that began on Sunday, where activists now are reporting for a fourth consecutive day. Airstrikes are still taking place and barrel bombs are raining down on different parts of Eastern Ghouta. And as you mentioned, more than 250 people killed since Sunday, about 100 of them only killed on Tuesday, and hundreds more wounded. And of course, it is very difficult to treat the wounded because, according to different organizations, including the United Nations, hospital after hospital have been hit in this bombardment of Eastern Ghouta. According to the Syrian American Medical Society, at least 13 medical facilities have been hit since Sunday. 4 hospitals completely destroyed, and these are medical facilities that were already struggling to provide care for patients there because, as you mentioned, this area has been under siege since 2012, and it's a very dire humanitarian situation. People are running out of almost everything there, and now they are absolutely terrified of a possible, they fear, ground invasion of Eastern Ghouta. They are really drawing similarities to what we saw in Eastern Aleppo at the end of 2016, saying that this is not going to end until the regime recaptures this rebel enclave, Alex.
And we should also remind our viewers, Jomana, that this is where there was a chemical weapons attack in 2013, almost 5 years ago, that left almost or more than 1,400 people dead. Thanks to you, Jomana, in Amman, Jordan.
All right, 50 minutes past the hour. Wall Street's winning streak is over. Walmart partly to blame here. Bond yields, too. We'll get a check on CNN Money next.
Dial your binge watching up to 11. Join the Uncarrier right now and get 4 unlimited lines for only $35 each. Whoa. Plus Netflix for the whole family on us. So they get their shows.
Let's go, girl. You're gonna love this bit.
And you get yours. Watch however you want on your phone, tablet, or TV. For a limited time, get 4 lines for just $35 per line with no extra charges. It's showtime. All on America's best unlimited network, T-Mobile.
I hate to ask, but is there any chance of an upgrade?
any chance of an upgrade?
Upgrade, pretty please. Look into my eyes.
Could be twins.
Have you thought about being a model?
Don't upgrade your seat, upgrade your airline. Fly Emirates, the best economy class in the world.
If you have moderate to severe plaque psoriasis or psoriatic arthritis, little things can be a big deal. That's why there's Otezla. Otezla is not an injection or a cream. It's a pill that treats differently. For psoriasis, 75% clearer skin is achievable with reduced redness, thickness, and scaliness of plaques. And for psoriatic arthritis, Otezla is proven to reduce joint swelling, tenderness, and pain. And the Otezla prescribing information has no requirement for routine lab monitoring. Don't use if you're allergic to Otezla. Otezla may cause severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Tell your doctor if these occur. Otezla is associated with an increased risk of depression. Tell your doctor if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts or if these feelings develop. Some people taking Otezla reported weight loss. Your doctor should monitor your weight and may stop treatment. Other side effects include upper respiratory tract infection and headache. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take and if you're pregnant or planning to be. Otezla, show more of you.
This is an apple. And this is an apple. And this is an apple. And when you put them all together, you've got a case.
Today, we're finally getting our bathtub redone. We weren't happy with it.
But we didn't want the headaches of demolition.
Or the days without our bathroom. Then a friend told us about Bath Fitter and their unique tub-over-tub process. There's no demolition, and they install in as little as a day. They also have a seamless wall for a watertight fit. And Bath Fitter has a lifetime guarantee. What a difference. Finally, a bathtub I love.
Call today or learn more at bathfitter.com. Introducing FreePrints, the new free app that lets you get all those great photos off your iPhone or Android phone and into your hands in just days. FreePrints lets you print up to 1,000 4x6 photos a year absolutely free. All you pay is a small shipping and handling charge. It's easy. Just select the photos you want to print on your phone or on Facebook or Instagram, then choose the sizes and quantities, and you're done. The app is free, and so are the prints. Get FreePrints today. Just go to freeprints.tv. That's freeprints.tv.
Stand Up, a live CNN town hall hosted by Jake Tapper, tonight 9 Eastern.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
All right, how you doing?
Welcome. So, this is the all-new Chevy Traverse. What do you think?
This looks better than 99% of the SUVs out there.
It's very modern, sleek.
Maybe the most impressive part of the all-new Traverse is what's on the inside.
What are you doing here? Oh, I missed you guys. I haven't seen you guys in so long.
What's happening?
We flew her out. It's a family car. We had to put your family in it.
Yeah, it gets 7 thumbs up.
I'm your Venus.
She's got it. The smoother the skin, the more comfortable you are in it. And now there's a new way to smooth. Introducing new Venus Platinum, a premium metal-handled boost control, so you can reveal up to 100% smooth skin. Venus.
Aiming for Gold is brought to you by Gillette Venus and by the all-new Chevy Traverse.
All right, skiing superstar Lindsey Vonn brings home the bronze in what will likely be her final Olympic downhill run.
Coy Wire has more from Pyeongchang. Coy, she's got one more chance to medal later this week, right?
One more chance. That is the good news, Alex. And good morning to you and Christine, but frustrating indeed. There was so much energy and excitement before this race. American flags were flying there at the venue. Lindsey Vonn had already missed out on her medaling completely in her first event here, but downhill, her best event, and likely her best shot at gold. When she posted that time, Americans fell silent. This was her last run as an Olympian in the downhill. This isn't in the NFL, where she has a game next week or even next season. She will still, though, compete in that Alpine combined later tonight, but the emotions afterwards, they hit her.
You know, it's been really hard for me not to get emotional for so many reasons, especially because of my grandfather, and I I wanted to win so much because of him. But I still think I made him proud, and our family never gives up, and I never gave up. I kept working hard, and I am really proud of this medal, and I know he is too.
She should be proud. At 33 years old, Vaughn became the oldest woman ever to medal in Olympic alpine skiing. Now, what in the world happened to American women figure skaters? It was a spill fest out there on the ice in the short program. The three Americans are sitting at 9th, 10th, and 11th after the short program. Mirai Nagasu, Brady Tennell both fell. Karen Chen had to put her hand down to prevent herself from falling. And heading into the free skate on Thursday, it is a 15-year-old Alina Zagitova. She is one of the Olympic athletes from Russia. She's leading the way to set a world record for her score in that short program. Medal count for you. Norway way out in front with 31. Germany in second with 23. Canada's in third with 20. And this just in, the U.S. now tied for fourth with Netherlands' 14th medal. Finally, some good news for the U.S. A first ever gold medal in women's cross-country skiing. Congrats to Jessie Diggins and Keegan Randall, who won the team sprint event. So there you go. Alex and Christine, good news for Team USA.
All right, moving up the count. All right, thank you so much. Nice to see you, Kawhi Wire. Let's get a check on CNN Money this morning. Wall Street's 6-day winning streak is over, and, you know, looks like now you could see the drop again at the opening bell. Right now, global Walmart's worst day in 30 years. Walmart stock fell 10% on disappointing online sales. That weighed on stocks overall. So did bond prices. Bond yields hit a 4-year high. That makes investors nervous here. A rapid rise could signal faster interest rate hikes from the Federal Reserve. And we may get a clue about timing on that today. The central bank will release its January meeting minutes this afternoon. 3M will pay $850 million to settle claims that contaminated water in Minnesota for decades. 3M is based in St. Paul. Minnesota's Attorney General alleges it polluted water in the Twin Cities, dumping chemicals used to make Scotchgard. From 1950 till the early 2000s, officials say 3M should have known it posed a risk to the environment and residents' health. 3M says it will work with the state, but 3M doesn't believe there's any risk to public health. $850 million. The co-founder of Guess stepping aside amid those harassment claims from supermodel Kate Upton. Paul Marciano will give up his day-to-day responsibilities during the investigation. Upton claims he verbally harassed and touched her inappropriately, including groping her after a photo shoot in 2010. Marciano denies that accusation, but it is costing his business. Guess's stock has dropped 20% since Upton first spoke out. That's right. All right. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday morning. I'm Christine Romans.
And I'm Alex Marquardt. New day starts right now.
The next step is going to be on them. It's going to be their fault.
Those 2 weeks after Friday, we're going to get something done.
He may have an A+ rating from the NRA, but he does not have an A+ rating from us.
School safety is a top priority.
Our message for the politicians, if you aren't with us, you're against us.
A new report says Jared Kushner fighting back against the chief of staff's security clearance crackdown.
I don't know how this gets resolved because the main problem here is nepotism.
There's already tension. It's going to be worse.
This president's been tougher on Russia in the first year than Obama was in 8 years combined.
The assertion is laughable.
The Obama administration was tough on Russia. Putin's had a honeymoon with Donald Trump.
This is New Day with Chris Cuomo and Allison Camerata.
We want to welcome our viewers in the United States and around the world. This is New Day. It is Wednesday, February 21st, 6 o'clock here in New York. Here's our starting line. 1 week after the massacre at the Florida high school, at least 100 students are taking their fight for gun reform to lawmakers at the state capitol. The kids have already suffered a setback. The Republican-controlled House refuses to even debate an assault weapons ban. Instead, they're debating a bill that declares pornography a public health risk. President Trump tweeting his support for strengthening background checks and directing the Justice Department to draft a ban on bump stocks. The president will hold a listening session today at the White House with mass shooting victims.
Listening is good. Action is what is demanded. The president did surprise many by calling for better background checks. Now, the question will be, how does that translate into his party in Congress? There is still no word from the GOP leadership that they are going to take up this cause. We continue to invite Senator Ted Cruz and the leadership on here to New Day to test what they can do to stop these shootings. CNN is going to hold a special town hall tonight. You'll see survivors, parents, and Florida politicians, including Republican Senator Marco Rubio, all working toward a solution. Meantime, the White House insisting that President Trump has been tougher on Russia than Obama's entire 8 years in office, and denying that the president ever questioned Russia's meddling in the U.S. election. We will give you the facts on that situation. Let's begin our coverage with CNN's Diane Gallagher live in Tallahassee with our top story. Diane.
Yeah, Chris, there's about 100 teenagers from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School asleep in the Civic Center behind me. In about 2 hours, they are going to march to the state capitol with demands of stricter gun control. It's a bittersweet day for them. It is the 1-week anniversary of the massacre at their school that killed 17 of their friends and teachers. They say they are going to use the inspiration from those victims to find strength in their meetings with about 70 lawmakers today and the Republican governor, despite suffering that legislative setback already.
They just want to throw it away. They want to sweep it under the rug. We're here saying that you can't sweep anything under the rug anymore.
Survivors of the Florida high school massacre voicing outrage after the state's Republican-controlled legislature voted against a measure to consider a ban on semi-automatic weapons.
36 yeas, 71 nays, Mr. Speaker.
So the motion is not adopted.
Students who survived the attack overcome with emotion as the bill was defeated.
The next death of someone with an assault rifle here in Florida is going to be on them. It's going to be on them, and it's going to be their fault.
Nearly all 71 lawmakers who struck down the bill have an A rating from the NRA. Instead of debating guns, lawmakers choosing to begin a debate on a bill that declares pornography as a public health risk. Now, dozens of students from Douglas High traveling 400 miles to the state's capital by bus. Their rallying cry, never again, as they hope to pressure lawmakers into taking action on gun control.
Our message is at this point for the politicians, if you aren't with us, you're against us. We're trying to save the lives of innocent children.
We're all here because we need to strive for change, and the legislation needs to change because we've fallen victim to lazy legislation for far too long.
Republican Governor Rick Scott promising to unveil a legislative plan by Friday.
My goal is to come up with something that is going to move the needle and make parents feel more comfortable that their kid's going to go to a safe school.
President Trump tweeting his support for strengthening background checks for gun purchases after a new national poll shows an overwhelming number of Americans want it to happen. Earlier in the day, Mr. Trump directed the Justice Department to propose regulations that would ban bump stocks, a process that has been ongoing since the Las Vegas massacre.
We're working very hard. We're going to come up with solutions. It's been many, many years, and there have been no solutions. We're going to come up with solutions.
But Mr. Trump's only action on guns since taking office was to undo restrictions aimed at mental illness. And the president's proposed budget would cut millions from existing background check systems. Now this, as the president's son, Don Jr., comes under scrutiny for liking 2 Twitter posts pushing conspiracy theories about Florida shooting survivor David Hogg and his father, who was a former FBI agent.
It's disgusting, the fact that so many people think that this is true, and it's honestly pretty sad that people have lost that much faith in America. We have a right to live, just like we have a right to bear arms.
Now, President Trump is going to hold a listening session this afternoon with parents, students, and teachers who have survived and lived through mass shootings in the United States. The White House indicated that the president may be open to imposing an age limit on AR-15 style weapons, but stopped short of saying that he wanted to reinstate the assault weapon ban. Chris Allison, that is something that the students I spoke to on the bus said is encouraging talk from the president, but they say that talk is just talk, and they're not going to rest until they see some action.
Understood. Thank you very much for all of the reporting from there. So joining us now to talk about it, CNN political analyst John Avlon and reporter and editor-at-large for CNN Politics, Chris Cillizza. Okay, so today's going to be a very interesting day. So these kids have made a pilgrimage to the state capitol, John, and they are there to talk to the governor. And the governor has at least expressed interest in hearing from them. He says that He is going to do something, he claims, Governor Rick Scott, to move the needle. Those are his words. And then he's going to have a proposal by Friday. And then all of that will be capped off by the CNN town hall tonight, where they get to actually confront people like Senator Marco Rubio. So, I mean, this is a day where these two sides come together and are going to actually be hashing all of this out.
Let's hope in the triumph of hope over experience, because these legislation, these proposals have been blocked every step of the way because, frankly, the NRA and its backers hope that people forget. That's part of their strategy. So if Rick Scott says he's going to step up, he's apparently eyeing the Senate, that's onus is on him. Marco Rubio says he's not as opposed as people characterize his position on guns. What's he going to do? Press him for specifics and then follow it through, because we saw after Las Vegas, everyone said they backed bump stocks, and then nothing got done. Crickets.
And look, you're hoping, Chris, that the momentum here breaks down this idea of two sides. You will get nothing done if this stays along what are the sides. We know that. Yep. I know it's the common vernacular of how we discuss this, but it's a mistake because it's what leads to the impasse. You have the state level and you have the federal level, all right? Bad news at the state level. They had to know how embarrassing this would be in that state house to vote down a motion to discuss weapons and then discuss porn as a public safety threat. They know how embarrassing that is. They did it anyway.
They do it candidly, Chris, and it's cynical, but it's true. They do it because they do not believe there are political consequences to doing so. Right. And they do believe there are political consequences to opening up what has been cast as Pandora's box when it comes to gun control legislation. So I think you have to have two things. One, you have to have a muscular gun control advocacy group, organization, satellite constellation of organizations that can make legislators feel, on the state and federal level, feel as though there are real consequences to doing things like what happened in the Florida legislature yesterday. You also have to have a change in the debate, and this is the one I'm more skeptical of, because I think what we have now, and I do think the NRA bears whether credit, responsibility, blame for this, is the fact that it is seen as an all-or-nothing proposition, that either you oppose any sort of future gun rights or strictures on your gun rights, or people will come to your house and collect your guns.
Right.
And it's just not true.
Is fundamentally false, and people have fundraised off that fear-mongering. But you take a look even at Justice Scalia's decision in Heller. He talks about there is a place for reasonable gun regulation in our society and in the Constitution.
Heller is the 2008 Supreme Court case that was the only one to recognize an individual right. This idea that the Second Amendment has always been that way was really done very recently.
That's right, and that's part of the conversation we should be having. But it's also about members of Congress stiffening their backbone and really confronting these kids, because what the Florida legislature did last night falls in line with their old reflexes, the A ratings from the NRA. But the fact they went on to talk about pornography as a public health standard, just think about that for a second. We need to be thinking more as a side about the pornography of violence rather than the pornography of sex. If it's easier for folks in political allies to feel like they're going to get a credit for one and ultimately people will forget because that's what happened after Sandy Hook, that's the real pornography of violence we should be discussing as a society.
And look, these kids are going to have to steel their spines as well. They're in it for the long haul. I mean, this is going to take a lot of tenacity on their part. Obviously, it's been 1 week. There's a lot of motivation. There's a lot of passion right now. And last night was a setback for them. And you saw some of the students crying because they are not used to this, having a setback like this, and they are going to have to get used to it, because let's face it, an assault weapons ban, that was ambitious. I mean, that was
we had one in our country for almost a decade.
Understood, but
yes, it's not going to happen automatically.
Right. So that was starting at the top. I mean, these other things are more incremental.
Right.
That they're
also not alone. You know, they are a beautiful face on a very ugly situation, right? I mean, they're a wave of victims who are able to speak for themselves. That's somewhat new to us. But this opportunity for background checks is going to be their best avenue forward, because they have the president on their side, and that's going to rattle the cages of
and
the
GOP. American public. Something like 97% of people support expanded background checks.
Now, here's your problem, Saliza, and this is where this situation always gets sticky, and it's just too bad, because you got to take the momentum where you find it. So they go down the road of background checks. All right. What do the 97% want? They want all sales covered by background checks. It's just common sense. The next thing that's going to be is you're going to have two asks on the Republican side. One is, well, let's look at mental health and which people there should be reviewed differently for access. That sounds good. It will not sound good to a lot of Democrats. They are the ones who have fought for the privacy rights and the concerns that people won't seek treatment. And those are not justifiable concerns in science, but that's going to be the politics. How does that play out? Because background checks sounds like a no-brainer right now.
Yes.
Will it be?
And the truth of the matter, candidly, if you look at that Quinnipiac poll has a trend line, the number you just showed, they have a trend line of support for background checks. It's not as though it was 30% 5 years ago.
Right.
It was 89%. I mean, it's higher today, but it wasn't low before, and we still haven't gotten any action. The reason, Chris, as you point out, devil is in the details to some extent. What you make the background, the closing of the loopholes, what you make people qualified for background checks, not, I mean, all that stuff is the problem. Can I just, one other reminder, I do think the kids are powerful. I do think, to Allison's point, they have to stay on it, right? And nothing gets solved in politics in a week. I am always reminded, though, of 2013, the mothers and fathers of kids who, of 6-year-olds who were murdered in my home state of Connecticut, sitting down face-to-face with senators who were on the fence about legislation and saying, we have to have this vote. And it never happened. So, yes, this is powerful, but do not assume that it is a sea change, because I think I assumed after Sandy Hook.
Yeah, as we all did.
And it wasn't.
And that's been the argument that's been used to defend the cynicism in Washington about why this can't get done. 6-year-olds were slaughtered and nothing got done. But these kids at Parkland have an ability to give voice to this in a different way. And 97%, folks, this isn't subtle. That's basically unanimous. I've never seen a 97% number on policy. Yes, devil's in the details. Yes, compromise is going to be key. But 97%, maybe that'll get the politicians' attention.
And look, just very quickly, I wouldn't say nothing got done after Newtown. I mean, I think that in terms of people feeling hopeless out there, Connecticut did make changes. And guess what?
At the state level, yes.
Violence and fatalities went down. So things can be done. We don't know what path it's going to take. Maybe nationally it's going to be hard, but things can be done. And Connecticut has paved the way in that way.
You can see it state by state, and you're right. There's a blessing and a curse in that. The blessing is you'll see states harden up. Connecticut, we thought Florida was going to follow suit. I don't know about that now. South Carolina did. The problem is, on the federal level, you're seeing the big push from the right is reciprocity. And when you do that, that means that if a state has lax rights, those rights get to transfer everywhere else where they're strong. See, that's how it gets sticky. But Allison's right. You got to have hope. Otherwise, why are we even waking up in the morning? So please join us tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. Jake Tapper is going to host a CNN town hall. You're going to be there too, right?
I am, yes. Right, so I'm going to be doing some reporting before it, and then tomorrow morning we'll be doing half the show from there.
Stand up. The students of Stoneman Douglas demand action. You're going to see survivors there. You're going to see lawmakers. And hopefully they'll take questions and start talking about solutions.
Okay, now to this story. There's this reported White House feud between Jared Kushner and Chief of Staff John Kelly over Kelly's crackdown on security clearances, which we know Jared does not have a full one of. Sorry for the syntax.
Oh, it works.
We discussed that.
None of it makes sense if you think about it.
New Day, brought to you by BDO. People who know BDO.
Another month?
There are procedures. How they will come.
Oh, is that what I tell the investors?
Tell them we don't have to do this one country at a time. BDO says the approval process is similar throughout Latin America.
So parallel tracks.
If we have first-hand experience in each country.
And BDO can find these people.
BDO has these people.
People who know BDO.
In life, you have to adapt to your environment. That's why Jaguar has developed a unique, instinctive all-wheel drive system. It constantly monitors the road surface and driver inputs hundreds of times every second. Perfect dynamics, outstanding performance all year round. Jaguar all-wheel drive.
Sometimes you need a second sample to confirm that the first sample is, accurate.
Of course.
It was accurate. For the road.
From this day forward, you will become weapons of Russia.
I think she's recruitable.
Are you willing to work for the American government and to be your spy?
There's something else we're not seeing. You always stay one step ahead. Take your life back.
I'll find a way.
Red Sparrow, rated R.
This is not just any cruise. This is MSC Cruises, one of the largest cruise lines in the world, where every detail is beyond just ordinary. And now, save and sail on the best new cruise ship, the revolutionary new MSC Seaside. For a limited time, take a 7-night Caribbean cruise from only $439 per person, an incredible value. Because this is not just any cruise, this is an MSC cruise.
Hiring was always a huge challenge. Endless hours on job sites with not a lot to show for it. Then, I found ZipRecruiter. They figured out hiring. I post my job, they put it all over the web, and they send me the right people, because their technology is smart. ZipRecruiter often sends me the right person in 24 hours.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Try it for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/smartest.
What will you discover with the new Ultimate Lens Package by Essilor? Sharper vision, without limits. Days that go from sun up to sundown. A whole world in all its beauty. 3 innovative technologies for our ultimate in vision, clarity, and protection. Together in a single lens. The new Ultimate Lens Package by Essilor. Purchase the Ultimate Lens Package and get a second pair of qualifying lenses free.
Most people come to LA with big dreams. We came with big appetites.
With Expedia, one click gives you access to discounts on thousands of hotels, cars, and things to do. Like the Garland Hotel, for 40% off. Everything you need to go. Expedia.
All right, the White House is claiming that President Trump has been tougher on Russia than President Obama in his entire 8 years in office. This is an eyebrow popper, right? And it comes amid scrutiny for Jared Kushner's security clearance and that heating up in a fight within the White House about what to do about his clearance. CNN's Abby Phillip live at the White House with more. It's an important distinction. This isn't like Democrats saying, what are you going to do about it? This is a problem in their own house.
That's right. It's a big problem for the White House this week, among other things, dealing with the Russia issue and also dealing with the brewing issue over security clearances. On Friday, Chief of Staff John Kelly has new rules that are going to go into place for people who have interim security clearances, restricting their access to highly classified information. One of those people is the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and it's not clear whether those rules are going to apply to him.
Nothing that has taken place will affect the valuable work that Jared is doing.
The White House downplaying the impact that Chief of Staff John Kelly's new security clearance directive will have on the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. But behind the scenes, the New York Times reports that Kushner and Kelly are engaged in an internal struggle, with Kushner expressing concern that he's been personally targeted and insisting that he maintain his current level of access to highly classified information. Amid the fallout over the White House's handling of the Rob Porter controversy, Kelly released a memo last week announcing that he plans to discontinue top-secret access for individuals who have been unable to get a full security clearance since before last June. Kushner is one of dozens of staffers who still don't have authorized clearance. Kelly issued a statement defending Kushner before the Times story broke, saying that he has full confidence in Kushner's ability to continue performing his duties. Separately, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders pushing back on criticism that President Trump has not been tough enough on Russia for meddling in the U.S. election, parroting this false tweet from the president.
He has been tougher on Russia in the first year than Obama was in 8 years combined.
But the facts don't support those statements. During his final 2 years in office, President Obama confronted Russian President Vladimir Putin after the DNC hacking, expelling 35 Russian diplomats out of the U.S., closing 2 Russian compounds, and imposing sanctions against 9 Russian entities and individuals. By comparison, Mr. Trump has yet to enforce Russian sanctions, overwhelmingly passed by Congress last summer. The president has hosted Russian diplomats in the Oval Office and repeatedly dismissed evidence of Russian meddling, something the White House denies, lies despite the president's public comments.
The Russia story is a total fabrication.
Russia did not help me, okay? I call it the Russian hoax. It's a Democrat hoax.
Sanders hinting Tuesday that new information is about to come to light.
He has done a number of things to put pressure on Russia and to be tough on Russia. Just last week, there was an incident that'll be reported in the coming days.
The press secretary also attempting to walk back this tweet from the president, blaming the FBI for missing a tip about the Florida massacre because they were too busy with the Russia investigation.
I think he was speaking not necessarily that is the cause. I think we all have to be aware that the cause of this is that of a deranged individual.
Allison and Chris, the Russia investigation marches on. On Tuesday, there was yet another guilty plea, this time a Dutch lawyer and the son-in-law of a Russian billionaire who admitted to lying to investigators about his contacts with a former Trump aide, Rick Gates. Allison and Chris.
Okay, Abby, thank you very much. We're joined again now by John Avlon and Chris Cillizza. Let's start with Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner reportedly doesn't want to give up his access to secret information. But, you know, I think one thing we don't mention enough is that he has an LIC, okay? That's not just interim clearance. He has limited. LIC is limited interim clearance. It's supposed to be limited. He's actually not supposed to have access to the top secret information, but he does. And he has access to the daily presidential brief. So we don't know what's going to change. I mean, so John Kelly's cracking down on this, he has reported, but we have no idea what this means for Jared Kushner.
Right, which is why we have nepotism laws in the first place. Because right now there seems to be, if we're going to do the Kremlinology of the White House, pun intended, then you're going to get a fight between Kelly and Kushner. The problem is Kushner's got a trump card. He and his wife can go run to daddy and say this isn't terribly fair. And I'm hearing the intelligence briefing anyway from the CIA director. It's an insane system in place. Kelly's trying to impose a little bit of structure finally, you know, giving a little pat on the back in the New York Times saying he can deal with Russia, unintended pun on that one, Mexico and the Middle East. But this is exactly why we have nepotism laws. And they've fallen out of favor and they need to be reinstated because this is an insane situation.
Although it does seem the president finds Mexico to be a much bigger threat to the United States than Russia.
Clearly.
So it's an odd choice of priorities. But Cillizza, why does this matter?
Well, I mean, because you have someone. First of all, we know Rod Porter had a temporary clearance and was handling top secret and classified documents because he was handling everything that the president saw. Okay, but now you have someone who is not only doing that, but is also the son-in-law of the president of the United States, who appears to be benefiting from a carve-out that this president has always made in his life. The rules do not apply as it relates to his family. That's been the case. It continues to be the case. It's the whole, yeah, my assets are in a blind trust. Well, no, they're really not. Well, Don Jr. and Eric don't have any. We never talk politics. Well, you know, I mean, this is all of a piece. And again, I do think it is important. This is not just about Jared Kushner versus John Kelly, the Ivanka and Jared versus whoever. This is about national security. This is about people having access. There is a reason why Jared Kushner has that limited clearance and has not been approved, right? Because there are questions about financial dealings, as we reported during the transition, other questions about his reporting on various forms prior to him entering office. So there's a reason for this. This is not accidental. And when you have someone who has not been cleared handling very sensitive or reading very sensitive information, we have protocols in place on purpose to prevent stuff like this.
Yeah, so that's such a great point. This is not a red tape hold up.
No.
This is because he didn't pass the background check. That's why he's supposed to only have limited access to top secret information.
Keeps finding meetings with Russians and millions of dollars he hadn't disclosed, just like normal Americans.
Speaking of Russia, let's go to Sarah Sanders yesterday, trying to tell the press room that Donald Trump has been much tougher on Russia than Barack Obama ever was.
He has been tougher on Russia in the first year than Obama was in 8 years combined. He's imposed sanctions. He's taken away properties. He's rebuilt our military. He has done a number of things to put pressure on Russia and to be tough on Russia. Just last week, there was an incident that'll be reported in the coming days.
Good tease. Good tease, Sarah Sanders. She's using the Trumpian tease.
Yes.
What's that incident that we know nothing about?
I can't wait for the next episode of this reality show called Our Lives. No, look, reality check. That's wrong. Trump has not been tougher on Russia than President Obama. It's not even close. Yes, President Obama can be criticized for too much passivity during the election. He was apparently concerned that if he called out Russia's meddling, he'd be seen as putting his thumb on the scale of the election. That's the argument Mitch McConnell made, and he bought it. But after the election, they ramped it up. You could argue too little, too late, but they ramped it up. You know, they kicked out diplomats. They imposed sanctions. They removed properties, actually, you know, in real terms. And Trump keeps dodging and dancing and refusing to condemn one of the most easily condemnable people on the planet Earth, Vladimir Putin. He's the only person he won't.
You go from least to most strong evidence against what they're asserting right now is, one, 98-2, they passed the sanctions. Administration certainly slow walking them. They're not going as aggressively as they could. Why? We don't know. The talk about Putin. The president spares no one his tongue except Vladimir Putin. We still don't understand why. Then you get to the big one, which is the Russian interference. Let's remind you what this president has said time and again about the uncontroverted, in terms of our intelligence community, interference by Russians in our democracy.
But I notice anytime anything wrong happens, they like to say, the Russians, he doesn't know if it's the Russians doing the hacking. Maybe there is no hacking. And I know a lot about hacking, and hacking is a very hard thing to prove. So it could be somebody else. What I said there is that I believe he believes that, and that's very important for somebody to believe. I believe that he feels that he and Russia did not meddle in the election.
Anybody?
So, look at Saliza's face. Look at Saliza's face. Make that face again. There it is.
But I mean, look, you can't say this enough. The entire U.S. intelligence community unanimously has said for basically the last year, yes, Russia sought to actively interfere in the election. Yes, they did so because to help Donald Trump and to hurt Hillary Clinton because they believed he would be better for their long-term interests.
Yeah.
I just don't know why that's a debate. Unless you believe, and candidly, Donald Trump has espoused some of these beliefs, that there is a deep state conspiracy in the intelligence community, the Justice Department, the FBI, against Donald Trump. That's the only way that you don't believe that's a fact.
Go ahead, John.
Trump just thinks it looks bad. And the reality is, if this administration has done the right thing on Russia, it's been against the wishes and implications of the president. It's been actually the Pentagon and the DNI and Jim Mattis and other folks saying that Russia is a real threat. We need to take this seriously. And when McMaster, his national security advisor, has the temerity to say that, he gets rebuked by the president. So the problem is the president. It's not necessarily the administration writ large, but that itself is a dangerous disconnect.
And the lying aside, it's just a problem because by all accounts, we have done nothing to stop it from happening in the midterms and beyond. So we're basically just leaving ourselves vulnerable to more of this and maybe even worse. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. So it is some of the worst violence that we have seen in Syria in this very long civil war. Hundreds of civilians, children are being killed. Really, they're being murdered as the regime escalates attacks on the rebel opposition. This is a place in crisis. We'll take you there next.
The deadliest school shooting since Sandy Hook. The students of Stoneman Douglas speak out to demand action and an end to the violence once and for all. Stand Up, a live CNN town hall hosted by Jake Tapper, tonight 9 Eastern.
Turning in the grain again, the bells began to chime. Time, she said.
You can pass down a Subaru Forester, but you get to keep the memories.
Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Get 0% APR financing on all new 2018 Subaru Forester models, now through February 28th.
Mom's got this cold. Hashtag stuffy nose, hashtag no sleep, hashtag mouth breather.
Just put on a Breathe Right strip. It instantly opens your nose up to 38% more than cold medicine alone. Go to breatheright.com today to request a free sample.
Introducing Dell Cinema, technology with incredible color, sound, and streaming. Just as the creators intended. Up to 40% off at Dell.com.
Last year's ad campaign was a success for ChoiceHotels.com.
Bada book, bada boom.
This year, we're taking it up a notch.
So in this commercial, we see two travelers at a Comfort Inn with a glow around them. So people watching will be like, wow, maybe I'll glow too if I book direct at ChoiceHotels.com.
Who glows? Just say bada book, bada boom.
Nobody glows.
He gets it.
Always the lowest price, guaranteed. Book now at ChoiceHotels.com.
We've been preparing for this day. Over the years, Paul and I have met regularly with our Ameriprise advisor. We plan for everything from retirement to college savings, giving us the ability to add on for an important member of our family. Welcome home, Mom. With the right financial advisor, life can be brilliant.
It's time for the ultimate Sleep Number event on the only bed that adjusts on both sides to your ideal comfort, your Sleep Number setting. Does your bed do that? Right now, save 50% on the ultimate limited edition bed. Ends Sunday. Visit sleepnumber.com for a store near you.
The epic saga continues.
We had no clue where the fugitives were.
Witness the incredible turn of events that led to the capture of Patty Hearst. The radical story of Patty Hearst concludes Sunday at 9 on CNN.
Not gonna happen.
That's it. I'm calling Kohler about their walk-in bath.
My name is Ken. How may I help you?
Hi, I'm calling about Kohler's walk-in bath.
Excellent. Happy to help.
Huh?
Hold one moment, please. The Kohler walk-in bath features an extra wide opening and a low step-in at 3 inches, which is 25 to 60% lower than some leading competitors. The bath fills and drains quickly, while the heated seat soothes your back, neck, and shoulders. Kohler is an expert in bathing, so you can count on a deep soaking experience.
Are you seeing this?
The Kohler walk-in bath comes with fully adjustable hydrotherapy jets and our exclusive bubble massage. Everything is installed in as little as a day by a Kohler certified installer. And it's made by Kohler, America's leading plumbing brand.
We need this bath.
Yes. Yes, you do. A Kohler walk-in bath provides independence with peace of mind. Call 1-800-939-1617 and ask about saving $1,000 on your walk-in bath. Or visit KohlerWalkInBath.com for more info.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Closed captioning brought to you by Garlic, cholesterol's natural enemy.
My cholesterol is borderline. I can worry about it or do something about it. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol naturally, and it's odor-free and pharmacist recommended. Garlic.
The worst days of our lives. That's how a hospital director in a suburb of Damascus describes the scene after government airstrikes and shelling killed at least 260 civilians. That's just in the past 2 days. A warning about these images. Obviously, some of them are very hard to look at on your screen right now. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says the death toll includes 58 children and 42 women. The Syrian American Medical Society says that 13 medical facilities have been targeted and 3 of its health workers killed there. Oh my gosh.
I think you should look at the images, because I think that when that reality really hits you, because so many of you have children, and even if you don't, you have hearts with compassion filling them up, something has to happen, and the images tell you the reason why. All right, another story for you this morning. The State Department says Vice President Mike Pence was set to meet secretly with North Korean officials at the Winter Olympics, but the North Koreans backed out at the last minute. The Pyongyang delegation included the sister of Kim Jong-un. U.S. officials contend the abrupt cancellation was a sign that attempts to exert pressure on the regime to abandon its ballistic missile and nuclear programs were working.
A Democrat in Kentucky has won a state house seat in a district where President Trump won 72% of the vote in 2016. This Democrat, Linda Belcher, she lost her seat in a close race in 2016, but now she has defeated her GOP opponent, Rebecca Johnson, by a 68-32 margin. Now, this is a bit unusual election. It was a special election, and it was held to replace Johnson's husband, the former state representative Dan Johnson. He's a former pastor. He killed himself in December after being accused of sexually abusing a member of his...
Led New York Times columnist Tom Friedman to issue a code red for America. What does that mean? Why does Tom feel it's so necessary? He makes the case next.
As long as there is fear, as long as there is curiosity, as long as there are undiscovered corners of the earth, and as long as there is willingness and desire, then you are capable of more. Hurry in to test drive the all-new BMW X3 today and receive exceptional offers.
At Holiday Inn Express, we can't guarantee that you'll be able to contain yourself at our breakfast bar.
Or an egg white omelet. Sup, Lady Bacon? Fruit? There it is.
But we can guarantee that you'll get the best price when you book with us.
Holiday Inn Express. Be the readiest.
A fair immigration plan. Less immigration. Better border security. Strong interior law enforcement. And an end to unfair foreign labor programs. But special interests are trying to stop all of these plans. And we need your help. We're fair, and we support real immigration reform. To find out what you can do to help, go to fairus.org. That's FAIRUS.org. Time is short.
My family and I did a fundraiser walk in honor of my dad, Willie Davis, who has Alzheimer's. I decided to make shirts for the walk with custom ink. The shirts were so easy to design on the site. The custom ink team was super helpful, and they just came out perfect. Seeing my family wearing my shirts was such an amazing reminder of all the love and support that everyone has for my dad.
Check out our huge selection of custom t-shirts and more for teams, businesses, and every occasion. You'll even get free shipping. Get started today at customink.com.
Looks great, honey.
Right? Sometimes you need an expert.
I got it.
And sometimes those experts need experts.
On it.
And sometimes the expert needed needs insurance expertise.
It's all good. Steve, you're covered for general liability. And Paul, we got your back with workers' comp. Wow, it's like a party in here. Where are the hors d'oeuvres, right? Tartlets? We cover commercial vehicles, too. I think there's something wrong with your snake.
Dogs have evolved, but their nutritional needs remain instinctual. That's why there's Purina ONE True Instinct, real meat #1. A different breed of natural nutrition. Purina ONE True Instinct. Now try new Purina ONE True Instinct treats.
The deadliest school shooting since Sandy Hook. The students of Stoneman Douglas speak out to demand action and an end to the violence once and for all. Stand Up, a live CNN town hall hosted by Jake Tapper, tonight 9 Eastern.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
What if you could lose fat in just a few hours?
I don't know what to say. I'm just in shock.
You can with Sono Bello.
It seems no matter how much you work out or diet, there are parts of your body that just don't seem to change.
I went to the gym, I worked out at home, I bought videos.
No matter what I did, that bulge was still there.
With its advanced micro-laser technology,
Sono Bello gently removes that targeted fat and shapes your body for life-changing results.
As America's #1 cosmetic surgery specialist, Sono Bello has performed over 100,000 personalized body and facial procedures, helping tens of thousands of people change their lives.
After 5 years trying to get rid of that roll of fat, Sono Bello did it in one day.
Call for your free no-obligation consultation today and get $250 off your Sono Bello body.
Payment plans are available.
Call 888-470-4969 or go to sonobello.com.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
The White House says President Trump has had a tougher response to Russian meddling than President Obama did in his entire 8 years in office. But New York Times columnist Thomas Friedman says he was appalled by the president's reaction to indictments against 13 Russian nationals, writing in a new op-ed, quote, "This is code red. The biggest threat to the integrity of our democracy today is in the Oval Office." Tom Friedman joins us now, author of the bestseller, Thank You for Being Late. Ironic because he is always on time. Tom, make the case. Code red, why?
Well, Chris, we just experienced, I would say, the biggest threat or challenge to the integrity of our democratic system with the Russian interference in our elections. We now going back to 2014. And the president's response to this has been basically appalling. Appallingly inept and appallingly basically inactive. We have to step back, Chris, and say what would a real president be doing in the face of two things? One, our 3 intelligence chiefs testifying in the last 2 weeks that not only were the Russians hacking our election, both trying to poison relations between different Americans and tilt the election toward Trump, but they're still doing it, our intelligence chiefs told us, that of the FBI, CIA, and NSA, and they plan to do it in the next election. Following that, Mueller issues a report indicting 13 Russians for that kind of activity and several Russian companies. Now, what would a real president do in the face of those two things? He'd do 3 things. One is he'd give a speech to the country, educating every American on what has happened here and what is at stake. Second, he would call together all the stakeholders in the country around our election issues, state and local election officials, the leaders of our 2 parties, police and election authorities, and basically come up with a plan, a defensive plan, to make sure this doesn't continue to happen, or if it does, we can insulate our elections from this kind of hacking. And lastly, he called together his national security advisor and national security team and say, develop for me an offensive plan. That we've been sitting here while Putin, for the last 4 years, basically, has been trying to spread lies that poison our politics and undermine our democracy. And I, as president, want a plan to spread truth about Putin. All the money he's stolen, all the Russians he'd made disappear in order to undermine his autocracy. That is what a real president would do, and Donald Trump has done none of them. It is appalling.
He questions the premise. He says Russia does this all the time. We do the same thing. He says that the left is just using this to delegitimize his election, and that's why he won't give it his attention. Do you accept that?
Look, in the Cold War, there's no question we, the Russians, the Chinese, everyone meddled in everyone else's elections. That was really a world that was a chessboard divided between sort of red, white, and blue. And these weren't elections really half the time. They were about keeping our guys in or their guys in. I think this is a qualitatively different moment. We never intervened in Russia's elections because Russia didn't have elections. So we have a real asymmetry here.
Now, the question is why? Why the president is doing this. You have a theory in there, basically a bifurcated theory, right? It's one of 2 reasons. Either it's just ineptitude or he's hiding something. I want you to explain that, but put some context into it about why it can't be as simple as his just saying, Russian interference is bad for my legitimacy, for my win, so I'm going to be against it. Why don't you think it's that? Why do you think it could be something else?
Chris, let's start at 30,000 feet. For the last year, for the first year plus of Trump's presidency, we've seen him violate the norms of what we think of proper conduct for a president. Massive amounts of lying and misleading statements, endless tweeting, ridiculous childish behavior. We've seen him violate norms of a president. When the President of the United States, in the face of public warnings by his 3 intelligence chiefs, tell us our democratic system is being attacked by a foreign power, when he doesn't respond to that, that is not violating norms anymore. That's violating his oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution. And that's why I call it Code Red.
So, Tom, just to have people understand what's going on here, you wrote this and put it out online. This wasn't one of the, the typical things that you were putting out in the newspaper and you thought would be getting wide distribution. How surprised were you that something you put out as a post online went so viral, and why do you think that is?
Well, yeah, my usual day for my column is it's Wednesday. I wrote that on Monday. I got up in the morning, I read the paper, I saw what was going on. I felt really strongly about it. I asked my editors if I could write a column just online, not in the newspaper, and they encouraged me immediately to do it. And the reaction's been for me, overwhelming, and it simply tells me that many, many Americans have been feeling the same thing. Chris, people are worried about our country. This is America. Our country is at stake. Our president is a disturbed person, and he's behaving in ways that are simply inexplicable, that tell you that he is either compromised because the Russians have been funding his company in ways that he would find embarrassing if publicly disclosed. That's why he hasn't shown us his tax returns. Or he's compromised because of maybe behavior he engaged in while in Moscow. Or he is simply a towering fool. who is ignoring the advice of his intelligence chiefs being made in public. And when his national security advisor is over in Germany at a conference, rather than summoning him home to lead a response to Russia, he rebukes him for not properly, supporting the fact that these things didn't tip the election. I'm not saying they did tip the election. I have no idea what the impact is, one way or another. What is unacceptable is that this behavior continues and he is not responding. He is not leading a response. That is not presidential. That's deeply disturbing behavior. Chris, we are the world, okay? And I say it with no arrogance. That is, we have been the foundation of the global liberal order. If America doesn't lead, I promise you, your kids won't grow up in a world where China will lead, where Russia will lead. They'll grow up in a world where nobody will lead. So this is really dangerous. Our president is a disturbed person. And I don't know what we do about it. Again, when he was violating the norms of the office, we all found it entertaining to some degree, or whatever. We were ready to tolerate it. But when he violates the actual strictures of the office, that's deeply troubling. And what magnifies it is that his party is complicit as well. They're completely silent in the face of this aberrant behavior. And you know that if Hillary Clinton had done one of the things Donald Trump has done, let alone the whole totality of them, we'd be in impeachment hearings, right? We would be in impeachment
There
hearings.
There is a toxic partisanship at play. There's no question about that. Whether it's Ryan or McConnell, men who always were supposedly men of conscience, who had to speak out against power, that's seemingly gone. Let me ask you something about else, though, that confuses the picture here. Because on the one hand, you're seeing the president as, a voice of inaction. Then we have the gun situation where he has done nothing up until now, but now he's the only and, of course, biggest voice in his party saying we got to look at background checks. Maybe bump stocks, they should be illegal. But background checks, we have to look at something better. Maybe we should look at raising the age of who can buy an assault weapon. How do you square that with your finding of what he's been doing on Russia?
That's great if he follows through. We've seen this before on different policies where something big happens and he raises, a contrary position. We've seen it on tax issues. We've seen it on trade. I've seen it in the Israel-Palestinian thing. He said some things, say, wow. But where is the follow-through, Chris? Where is the policy? Not just floating balloons out there. We have a terrible gun problem here. We have a complete vacuum of political leadership with the ruling party. Democrats obviously are for gun control. And, you actually don't just raise things. You have to go out and create a constituency in the country for changing the laws in meaningful ways. Is President Trump ready to do that? That's what leadership is about. It's not just floating ideas and then getting talked out of them, when some pollster tells him it's going to offend his base.
Well, on that level, maybe there is a ray of sunshine here because 97, I've never heard, you've been following this longer than I have. I've never heard of anything over about 95% policy related, where you see consensus in this country. 97% say they want something done on guns. Tom Friedman, always appreciate your perspective on the things that matter to us. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Allison.
Okay, to the Olympics, American skier Lindsey Vonn going for gold in what is likely the final downhill race of her Olympic career. How did she do? The Bleacher Report is next.
I hate to ask, but is there any chance of an upgrade?
Any chance of an upgrade?
Upgrade, pretty please. Look into my eyes.
Could be twins.
Have you thought about being a model?
Don't upgrade your seat, upgrade your airline. Fly Emirates, the best economy class in the world.
Land Rover, above and beyond.
Looking for vision care during retirement? Take a second look.
Ready, Daddy?
When it matters most.
Thank you, VSP.
VSP Individual Vision Plans offers vision coverage you can buy on your own. Because retirement means life's most important moments are yet to be seen. Go to vspdirect.com to see better for life for less.
This is not just any cruise. This is MSC Cruises, one of the largest cruise lines in the world, where every detail is beyond just ordinary. And now, save and sail on the best new cruise ship, the revolutionary new MSC Seaside. For a limited time, take a 7-night Caribbean cruise from only $439 per person. An incredible value. Because this is not just any cruise, this is an MSC cruise.
You guys don't happen to know a good handyman, do you?
Maybe.
Outstanding. Could you possibly do a background check on them?
Also, get a bunch of quotes.
Then book an appointment for, say, Tuesday?
You can't expect your neighbors to do everything HomeAdvisor can. So to find and book a top-rated home pro for free, just ask HomeAdvisor.
I was out here smoking instead of being there for my son's winning shot. That was it for me. That's why I'm quitting with Nicorette.
Only Nicorette Mini has a patented fast-dissolving formula. It starts to relieve sudden cravings fast.
Every great why needs a great how.
ADT now helps protect your family at home and on the go. Call today and get ADT's best offer. Get an ADT starter kit installed free, including a security panel, keypad, key fob, entry and motion sensors. And for a limited time, get a security camera at no additional cost, a $449 savings. Plus, you'll get ADT Go, the new family mobile safety app and service, equipped with SOS emergency response with any ADT security system. ADT, always there, now everywhere.
Skiing superstar Lindsey Vonn brings home the bronze in what will likely be her final Olympic downhill run. Coy Wire has more in the Bleacher Report live in South Korea. Tell us everything, Coy.
Good morning to you, Allison. This Bleacher Report brought to you by the new 2018 Ford F-150. As you mentioned, last Olympic run in the downhill for Vonn, and she cried afterwards, but she can keep her head up. She made history with that bronze. At 33, she's the oldest woman to ever medal in Olympic alpine skiing, and she does have another shot at a medal later tonight in her last event as an Olympian, the Alpine Combined. And what in the world happened to Team USA's women in figure skating? Mirai Nagasu and Brady Tennell both fell. Karen Chen had to put a hand down to keep herself from falling in her skate. Americans are sitting at 9th, 10th, and 11th place after the short program headed into free skate. The worst top-placing American in women's Olympic figure skating since World War II is 6th place. They have some making up to do. Here's a look at your medal count this new day. Norway's still crushing it, but finally some good news for Team USA. A first-ever gold medal in women's cross-country skiing just moments ago from Jessie Diggins and Keegan Randall. Some much-needed positivity for Team USA. They jumped to 4th in the medal count. Chris?
Conspiracy theories spreading about the survivors of the Florida massacre who are speaking out. Yes, people are attacking the kids. Now, the president, what does he think of this? Someone who has his ear is giving credence to the lies. Who? Why? Next.
Bleacher Report Update is brought to you by the 2018 Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar. Follow the NFL news stream on Bleacher Report's Team Stream app to see the standouts named to the Built Ford Tough Offensive Line of the Week.
Life goes on, yes, life goes on.
I've always wanted to share a special moment with my mom. I think surprising her with a night ski trip would just be the biggest gift that I can give her.
Let's make that happen.
She's gonna be so excited.
Take me where I want to be. Let me dream, oh, let me dream.
You wouldn't accept an incomplete job from anyone else. Why accept it from your allergy pills? Flonase relieves your worst symptoms, including nasal congestion, which most pills don't. Flonase helps block 6 key inflammatory substances. Most pills only block 1. Flonase.
Dynasties, The Kennedys, premieres Sunday, March 11th at 9 on CNN.
You know it, and they don't. They snore like a freight train. And the snoring stops here. Theravent Advanced Nightly Snore Therapy is clinically shown to reduce snoring.
Thanks to Theravent, my wife finally gets a good night's sleep.
Theravent is now available in light, regular, and maximum strength. Rediscover quiet nights with the all-new Theravent Trial Pack. Now available in your CVS pharmacy and select Walgreens. Start tonight.
If you're a small business owner, now there's a fast and secure way to qualify for a low-cost SBA loan right online. We're SmartBiz Loans, rated best place to apply online for an SBA loan. We'll help you pre-qualify for up to $350,000 of working capital, or even up to $5 million to buy your building.
We have a 10-year loan. Our repayment is only $1,600 a month.
Now with the SBA loan, we're only paying 6%, and I can afford that.
Apply now at smartbizloans.com. SBA loans made easy.
Stand Up, a live CNN town hall hosted by Jake Tapper, tonight 9 Eastern.
Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
Mesothelioma, it's all we do. With 7 offices across the country, let us come meet with you. Call us at 1-800-213-8000.
As sure as the sun will rise, crazy conspiracy theories will crop up after tragedies. And that's what's happening today in the wake of the Parkland school massacre. Some of these conspiracies even make it to the State House and some to the White House. Let's discuss with CNN senior media correspondent and host of Reliable Sources, Brian Stelter. So Brian, conspiracy trolls are already in overdrive talking about this tragedy. I'll just put up some examples. These are all from the usual suspects that you would imagine to, just peddle this conspiracy nonsense. I'll just read a couple. They say that the school shooting survivors are activists. They appear to have been coached on anti-Trump lines because one of their fathers is in the FBI or was. There are questions around these teen activists. One of them says, are they actors? Are some of these crisis actors? And now here's the point. Don Jr., the president's son, liked some of these on Twitter. How gullible is this guy? He's falling for these conspiracy theories that these kids who watched their friends be slaughtered and escape with their lives are actors?
These people will do anything to avoid addressing the real issues here and avoid talking about guns and about mental health and other issues. Allison, what you just heard on screen, I think it's a form of pollution. I think about it as a form of pollution, just like the kind of smoke that comes out of a factory. And it poisons the environment for all of us. The people that live closest to the factory and consume all the pollution, they suffer the most. But our society as a whole suffers when these kinds of outlandish, sick theories are spread. And this raises a question for the press about what to do. Do we ignore it? I know a lot of people say we shouldn't even talk about these theories. We should just let them live over on YouTube where they are. Yeah. I don't think that's the right answer anymore, because if you ignore the pollution that's up in the atmosphere, you're not helping to make it any better. You may not be making it worse, but you're not helping to make it any better. I think all of us as news consumers, as journalists, politicians, technology companies, everybody has a role to play to try to solve this pollution problem.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I'm very torn about whether to do it. And the only reason that I think that there is... So there was this aide
this is really disturbing.
To the state rep in Florida who sent this email, to a reporter. He sends a picture of our interview with David Hogg, one of the students, and Emma, another one of the students. And he says, basically, like, by the way, both kids in this picture are not students here, but actors that travel to various crises when they happen. Oh, my gosh.
This is something that started happening after Sandy Hook, this idea that it was a hoax and that all the people, all the children, they were all actors that were hired as part of a plot to take away people's guns. And this idea spreads on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, on all these social platforms. And when it's not met with the truth, then it spreads even more widely, spreads even more quickly.
And next thing you know, somebody's showing up with a gun at a pizza joint in, Washington, D.C. and trying to shoot up the place because of some alleged conspiracy, well, because of a real conspiracy theory.
Right, and this is psychological, this is cultural, it's why people want to believe these kinds of lies. It's about making sure they have access to the right information as well. I got into a lot of fights yesterday over email with people who believe this stuff, who believe that David Hogg is an actor or something.
And what is that? Is that just
I don't think I was able to change their mind, so I'm not sure what the right answer is about this pollution.
Well, stop engaging in those fights. That's one of the.
But I was trying to say here's the facts. Here are the facts about this kid. Some people don't want to hear it. So the question is that maybe I'm not the right messenger. Maybe Fox News would be the right messenger for certain people. Maybe Alex Jones at InfoWars. But we all have a role to play to stop some of this pollution because it is making our society sick.
Look, the good news is that state rep's aide was fired right after this because it was so appalling that he fell for this. I mean, what kind of lack of brain power and lack of critical thinking do you have to have if you're working in the State House and you think to send that to a reporter? So he was fired, so people are taking action.
Right. It's one thing to be critical of policy positions. We're seeing a lot of that. But when it veers into conspiratorial thinking, or it goes all the way down these roads into these sick ideas, these sick smears, this is a problem for our society, and I think we all have a role to play to solve it.
Brian Stelter, thank you very much. Thanks for the conversation. And thanks to our international viewers for watching. For you, CNN Newsroom is next. For our U.S. viewers, New Day continues right now.
Good morning. Welcome to your new day. 1 week after a deranged gunman turned a hundred of the survivors of that high school massacre are going to march to the state capitol in Florida and take their gun reform fight to lawmakers. Now, there's already been a suffering of a setback here. The Republican-controlled House, listen to this, they voted to refuse to debate an assault weapons ban. And instead, they voted to debate a bill that declares pornography a public health risk.
So, President Trump tweeting his support for strengthening background checks for gun purchases and directing the Justice Department to draft a ban on bump stocks. This comes as the president will hold a listening session at the White House today with mass shooting victims, though we don't know exactly who. CNN will hold a special town hall meeting tonight with the survivors, the parents, and some Florida politicians to find solutions on gun violence and school safety. So will our nation's elected officials choose children over guns? That's what the Parkland students are asking today. Let's begin our coverage with CNN's Diane Gallagher. She is live in Tallahassee with our top story. Diane.
Allison, so we are inside the Tallahassee Civic Center. The kids are getting breakfast. About 100 of these Stoneman Douglas students kind of waking up, getting some of this breakfast before a really full agenda. I talked to a lot of the kids who said they might have gotten between an hour and 2 hours of sleep. They're excited. They're nervous. They're ready to take on these meetings with Florida state lawmakers, Republicans and Democrats. A lot of them.
Students who survived the attack overcome with emotion as the bill was defeated.
The next death of someone with an assault rifle here in Florida is going to be on them. It's going to be on them, and it's going to be their fault.
Nearly all 71 lawmakers who struck down the bill have an A rating from the NRA. Instead of debating guns, lawmakers choosing to begin a debate on a bill that declares pornography as a public health risk. Now, dozens of students from Douglas High traveling 400 miles to the state's capital by bus. Their rallying cry, never again, as they hope to pressure lawmakers into taking action on gun control.
Our message is at this point for the politicians, if you aren't with us, you're against us. We're trying to save the lives of innocent children.
We're all here because we need to strive for change, and the legislation needs to change because we've fallen victim to lazy legislation for far too long.
Republican Governor Rick Scott promising to unveil a legislative plan by Friday.
My goal is
to come up with something that is going to move the needle and make parents feel more comfortable that their kid's going to go to a safe school.
President Trump tweeting his support for strengthening background checks for gun purchases after a new national poll shows an overwhelming number of Americans want it to happen. Earlier in the day, Mr. Trump directed the Justice Department to propose regulations that would ban bump stocks, a process that has been ongoing since the Las Vegas massacre.
We're working very hard. We're going to come up with solutions. It's been many, many years, and there have been no solutions. We're going to come up with solutions.
But Mr. Trump's only action on guns since taking office was to undo restrictions aimed at mental illness. And the president's proposed budget would cut millions from existing background check systems. Now this, as the president's son, Don Jr., comes under scrutiny for liking 2 Twitter posts pushing conspiracy theories about Florida shooting survivor David Hogg and his father, who is a former FBI agent.
It's disgusting, the fact that so many people think that this is true, and it's honestly pretty sad that people have lost that much faith in America. We have a right to live, just like we have a right to bear arms.
Now, President Trump is going to hold a listening session this afternoon with parents, students, and teachers from past U.S. shootings. And the White House also indicated that he may be open to lowering the age, raising the age to buy an AR-15 style weapon, but they stopped short of saying that he would be a favor of reinstating that assault weapon ban. Now, the kids here say that sounds great, but that's talk. They want action, and action's what they're going to be demanding when they leave in about half an hour to march to that state capitol to talk to those state lawmakers. Chris, Allison.
Okay, Diane, we see them getting ready there. Thank you very much for the reporting from the scene. Joining us now to talk about it are CNN political analysts John Avlon and David Gregory. So, David, those kids are going to march 10 blocks very soon, and they're going to go meet with the governor, who has suggested that he does want to come up with a proposal by Friday. He has said they're going to meet with state reps. Of course, they did have that setback yesterday. The kids were hoping that the state legislature would vote to even start debate on banning assault weapons. They did not do that. However, today's a new day, and those kids are taking their message right to the lawmakers.
Well, there's a lot of activism. I do think it's different than we've seen in the past. And I think that those who want to see something done that's real at the state level or at the federal level have to recognize this is about achieving what's possible with those who may be less inclined to pass any kind of gun control measures. And it's also about harnessing power. This is about a longer-term strategy of creating enough energy and activism that isn't just about the immediate aftermath of a horrible event like this. It's about taking it into an election cycle and creating voters who become single-issue voters on this particular issue. That's a longer-term strategy for change that we just haven't seen yet. You know, we've seen billionaires, like Mike Bloomberg in New York, say that he'll go toe-to-toe with the NRA and spend in election cycles. We just haven't seen it have the kind of impact. Now this is a new start with a kind of a new group of activists who might have some impact.
Now, look, I like that point, actually, because, we are spending time doing what we should, which is calling out people who are attacking these kids. And there is a lot of BS going on to try to take the momentum out of these kids' efforts. And it's not just about them, right? 97% of people polled say they want something done to make this different. I've never even heard of a number that high on a policy level. And this is on background checks, right? That's an important question. It's not on gun control. It's not on an assault weapons ban. It's on background checks. But his point is right. The NRA does kill you with money. There's no question about it. But they don't lead the league in donations. They lead the league in getting people out to be able to go to politicians and say, John, you do what you feel you need to do, but I promise you I will beat you in your next primary if you don't vote the way I want. If people who care about this vote on it, that will change things faster than anything else.
And the most important words you just said are in your primary.
Yeah.
This is a play to the base strategy that benefits from polarization and hyperpartisanship, and it's allowed the NRA to hijack a party and really move away from what is a clear, broad consensus of the American people. This is a divisive issue. But 97% background checks. We had an assault weapons ban in this country. And these kids do have the opportunity to elevate the debate in a way that didn't occur after Sandy Hook. And it is cynicism versus hope in the political arena. President Trump deserves credit for taking a step yesterday, apparently, on bump stock. Let's not scuff
background checks.
And background checks. Saying he might even be open to raising the minimum age.
Let's stay tuned to see what the actual follow-through is.
But at least he's not talking as typical nonsense like, you know, this didn't really even happen or it's not even that bad a deal. At least he's on the right side of momentum.
Yes, let's thank God for small mercies. But I do think we don't want to default into cynicism. This is going to be a long fight, but 97%, Chris, as you point out, that number is staggering. And this is going to be real politics. It's going to get this done. It's not going to be wishing and hoping. But the door's open in a different way today.
Can I say something else? I actually think it's really a waste of time to spend time on the Dinesh D'Souza's of the world who are going after these kids.
These conspiracy
theorists. Yeah, I mean, this is nonsense. This is ugliness. And guess what? It exists. It exists out there on social media every day. But thinking people are going to reject that. There has to be a mutual respect on both sides. There has to be respect for people who are for gun rights, who see this issue not only as a slippery slope, but they see it as a proxy. These are small C conservatives. These are small government conservatives. These are people who support populist politicians who believe in government overreach generally and see guns as a core American issue on which to fight. That's why they've been organized. And that's not a completely misguided principle, because there was an effort on the left to ban handguns for a long time. So there has to be some respect for that, and then go to work on things that make sense. Just like, how about seatbelts? You know, we made driving in a car a lot safer on the highways with seatbelts, with those kind of regulations. There has to build on that momentum, and why a kid with this kind of record with law enforcement should be able to get a gun should be.
Absolutism need not apply. We need to have reality checks like, you know, why should 18-year-olds be able to get access to a weapon of war when they can't buy a beer? And there needs to be an understanding that urban and rural communities tend to use guns differently. So all those things need to be said. But I do think it's worth calling out the extremes, because I think they can actually help consolidate the sensible center. When you see an ostensible, someone who once considered themselves a card-carrying conservative intellectual like Dinesh D'Souza, descend to a kind of bitter, ugly cynicism. It's not even in the same universe of what would Jesus do to denigrate those kids on social media. And I think it therefore actually helps clarify the debate and the terms of the debate. So I don't think we should simply dismiss that. I disagree with you on that one.
So the kids had a setback yesterday where they went to the state